Hey, this is Warren Redlick. Thank you for watching. We're going to be talking today, as you can guess from this outline, about SpaceX, Neuralink, the boring company Tesla, and we're going to do a question and answer session. Before I get started, I want to thank the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden. Before I get started, I want to thank the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden and all my Patreon supporters for helping this channel grow. You can support the channel on Patreon. There's a link in the description below. Patreon supporters get early access to some of my videos, like the video I just did with a review of a Wall Street analyst breaking down his analysis. They get that about 12 hours. They got that one about 12 hours earlier. They get better access to me. It's easier to communicate with me through Patreon than it is through other channels. They also get t-shirt discounts. I'm wearing the Tesla is the next Tesla t-shirt. Tesla is the next Tesla t-shirt. Links to the t-shirts in the description below. But let's move into SpaceX. All right, I gotta put my glasses on now. Woohoo! What do we got? Okay, first of all, Dragon is about to launch. Falcon 9 is about to launch with Dragonaut. It is on the pad waiting to go. We expect this launch, I think it's Thursday of this week. It might be, I think it's Thursday of this week, the 22nd. We are expecting Falcon 9 to launch the Crew Dragon up to the International Space Station. And here's a fun video for you that was put together. This is the crew. This is the crew of that's going to be launched to the International Space Station. Just a quick clip so you get a sense of who's going, how much fun this is going to be. They're getting ready to go. I don't know if you guys can hear the background music. Can you guys hear the background music? So this is coming April 22nd, 2 a.m. in the morning. So you got to stay up late if you want to see that. Okay. So that's the Crew 2. That's kind of exciting little detail coming up. Probably the biggest news is that SpaceX was awarded a contract with NASA. Couple of clips here. Let's see how this goes.
NASA has chosen SpaceX to return us to the moon. I am so excited to partner with SpaceX in this fantastic endeavor for the Artemis suite of missions. So congratulations to the SpaceX team.
The SpaceX design is a single-stage solution using their
It's not really
Starship.
single stage.
It provides extensive volume for the crew with 2 airlocks and ample down mass capability. The SpaceX proposal included in-space propellant transfer demonstration and uncrewed test landing.
So just, I clipped out some of the sound there so I don't run into some sort of copyright problem. I don't know whether that music is copyrighted. It's not single stage. There's a super heavy booster is going to launch the Starship into orbit. It's a single stage that goes from Earth orbit to the moon, lands on the moon, and comes back. But to get out of Earth's orbit, it has to go on super heavy. So that's part one of the story. This is very exciting. This is a $2.9 billion contract. It's not as big as you might think because recognize SpaceX is now valued in the ballpark of a $100 billion company. So is $200 billion, is what $2.9 billion? It's not nothing, but when you're a $100 billion company, $2.9 billion isn't that much. It's important. It's going to help the mission. Here's more.
So now that we've selected our partner, going forward, we have to make sure that the testing occurs. We're not going to launch humans until we have a successful test. Make sure that the design and everything that we have going forward so far is ready to go.
Can you guys hear that music, by the way? Are you guys hear those voices and all that? I don't know. I'm assuming you guys can hear it when they're talking. So very positive message from NASA. As I understand it, there were 3 bidders, three companies that were, or 3 groups that were vying for this project, and only SpaceX was chosen. I think Congress, the U.S. Congress, did not budget adequately for the project, and so they didn't even budget enough. And SpaceX was the low bidder and probably had the best proposal anyway. Rodney, I do need to cut the audio like that because there's potential copyright infringement risk. So it is intended to be choppy. I cut bits of the audio out because I don't know whether their music is copyrighted. So the music is in and out on purpose. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to do it right, but doing the best I can. So there were 3 bidders. SpaceX was the low bidder, had the best proposal as well, I'm sure. But even as I understand it, even SpaceX's bid was too high for what Congress had budgeted. So supposedly Elon cut the price to fit it in. And one last thing, let's see what this is. What's this? Oh, this is just a shot of what it's going to look like, but I'm going to move that up. I wanted to do the last clip first.
So the human landing system is going to allow us to be able to access different parts of the lunar surface.
I'm cutting here.
It also allows us to explore a new technology and capabilities that will help us when we are trying to figure out our next round of technologies to be able to help us land on Mars or other planets out there.
Yeah, those sound cuts are on purpose so that I can protect myself from the risk that somebody's going to make a copyright claim. I don't know whether that music is copyrighted or not, so I mess with it. And that alteration gives me protection under fair use laws. So this is an image of how Starship's going to look landing on the moon if it so happens that the Earth is in just the right spot when it's landing. And here's another shot of how Starship will... Now, my impression is this Starship is not going to look like this. It's not going to be white. It's going to be stainless steel. They're not going to paint it for the mission. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are going to paint it for the mission, but I don't think they're going to paint it for the mission. So that's that news. Now, another little detail here. I think I have the... This is Boca Chica Gal's video of what's going on in Boca Chica or Starbase right now, and you can see that Starship SN-15 is on suborbital pad A, ready to go, not far from Starhopper. A lot of activity going on. Thank you, Boca Chica Gal and NASA Spaceflight, for all the work that you guys do. It's fantastic. And just really quick, this is from some random guy on Twitter, but there's a theory that Starship may launch. The next Starship test flight may be on Tuesday. I think that's optimistic. They have to do, I think they're still installing the engines. They have to do a static fire. They did do some testing. Elon did say, I forget where, but I believe Elon did say he's hoping to do the Starship test flight this week. They will land on the trial run, or will they land it in the same place? Okay, let me just address some questions first. Normally I don't do questions now, but will the first moon mission be unmanned? I believe they're going to be unmanned missions first, and then there will be a manned mission. I'm not sure whether they will do an unmanned mission to the surface first. I don't know. I thought that they were going to do unmanned missions nearby, and then I thought the landing on the moon was going to be manned, but I could be wrong. Any idea what they will land on the trial run, or will they land it at the same place? I think they've said in that video, if you caught it, I think they said they're going to be able to land in multiple places. I don't know how well defined the mission is yet. Jim Whitehead, thank you, Jim. NASA paid for a special white version designed to keep it cooler on the moon than stainless. Okay. Okay, cool. So, is that all my SpaceX news? I believe that is all my SpaceX news. Lots of great stuff going on with SpaceX. Let's move on. Neuralink. So, not a lot of Neuralink news, but there's this great video on YouTube of this Stanford researcher talking about the monkey mind pong. So I'm probably going to do a video this week taking his video. He has like a 30-minute video, and I might dissect his video and break it down so that I can break down what's really cool about what we've learned from his video about monkey mind pong, about Neuralink, and how it's going. So let's just listen. This is really quick, short intro from him.
My name is Paul Niyujukian. I'm an assistant professor of bioengineering, neurosurgery, and electrical engineering at Stanford University. For the last 15 years or so, I have been a brain-computer interface researcher spanning both non-human primate work as well as clinical trials in people. And I'm here to give you an expert opinion on the recent Neuralink mind pong video.
So that's pretty cool. So if you go on YouTube, you can find his full description. It's great. He goes into depth. He keeps talking about moments where he calls them flexes, where Neuralink is flexing that they've done something amazing. So, you know, that you can't see, that you wouldn't know that this monkey had surgery when you look at his head unless you were told that's the spot. That they show off the Bluetooth, they show off a lot of other things. Really, really cool. So, so not a lot of news on Neuralink. I'm excited about Neuralink because I got brain. My brain is all messed up if you haven't figured it out yet. Not diagnosed with anything, but something's coming, I'm sure. So I thought that was a really big deal. Let's move on to the Boring Company. The Neuralink and Boring Company segments are a little bit shorter this week, but that's the way it is. So, Bloomberg News, I'll just really quick show this. Bloomberg did an article talking about the Boring Company and this project that they appear to be doing in Adelanto, California. So I'm going to come back to this in a second, but listen to this from Bloomberg.
This tiny town in California, and what makes it the perfect spot for the Boring Company?
It's a very small, scrubby town. On the surface, there's not much to recommend it, and they are willing to just take a very flexible approach when it comes to regulation.
So I'm probably going to play that clip again because there's two big things that bothered me about this clip. First of all, big city snobs talking about a small town like there's nothing there. I grew up in the town has 30,000 people. I grew up in a town that had 35,000 when I left, had 15,000 when I started growing up there. It's really annoying to small town people to hear these big city people say how there's nothing in our towns. So there's this the way that Bloomberg is reporting about what's going on here in Boring Company's project is just utter disdain and a very negative tone. Let me play it again. I want to play it again. I want you to listen to the end of the clip.
This tiny town in California, and what makes it the perfect spot for the Boring Company?
It's a very small, scrubby town. On the surface, there's not much to recommend it, and they are willing to just take a very flexible approach when it comes to regulation.
Okay. What do you want? You're a business channel. Bloomberg's a business channel. What do they want from cities? Do they want cities to have an inflexible approach to regulation? Is inflexible better than flexible? They're digging tunnels under a property that was built for motocross. They're digging dirt. They're taking dirt. They're not even using like motors, right? They're not using fossil fuels. They're not using anything that would pollute. They're using electric motors and batteries and electricity. There's no pollution. They're just digging tunnels. They're digging holes in the ground. What permitting do you want? And it's underneath a former motocross track, which has probably got all kinds of, it's so ridiculous that they're so upset about this nonsense. So I might do another video going in depth on their trashing of the Boring Company. But let's go back to the text. So you can see it here. They needed a property that was at least a half-mile long, a 20-acre plot zone for manufacturing on the eastern edges of town. It's just the negative tone about this town. The closest landmark is Bravo Burger. It's in the middle of nowhere. It previously hosted an annual motocross event. I mean, what kind of land do you? There's no Joshua trees, protected species there. So they picked a piece of land that doesn't have endangered species on it, and you want more of you? What are you complaining about? They found a place that likes the idea they're going to do some work, and they're complaining about this like it's a problem. It's just absolutely hysterical. The negative tone of business reporting about anything Elon Musk does. You'd think they would be positive about this. But the tone about the town, just absolutely offensive to me. So anyway, so I might do a video breaking down that article. I'm like upset about it, so maybe I need to get it off my chest. So let's talk about Tesla. First, we have a video for you. This is my music or non-copyrighted music added to this. I took some clips. This is video from Texas at Night. The credit for this video is at the end. And I just put my own, I clipped it a little bit differently, put my own music at the end to, again, deal with fair use rules. But you can see Giga Texas is going up. They're making progress. They're working on it hard. They're working on it at night. They're doing a lot of great stuff. So Giga Texas is growing. Giga Texas is going to be ready soon. There's more coming about Giga Texas after this clip. So, little rock music for you. So that's the credit. What's up, Franks? So next I want to show you the news that they got their second GigaPress machine. It's my understanding that there are going to be 8 GigaPress machines in Berlin for the Model Y factory there. I think there will be 8 GigaPress machines in Texas. I didn't bother including it. There's pictures of these giant machines being offloaded off these giant airplanes to be brought to Giga Texas. So Idra is an Italian company that makes these large press machines that are going to be making the front and rear casting. The front casting and rear casting of Model Y. Structural battery pack goes in the middle. That is coming soon, so we're seeing good progress on that. Elon was at Giga Texas with Cybertruck, so there were some great photos of this. Here's Cybertruck at Giga Texas. I'm stoked for Cybertruck. I have one of the early orders for Cybertruck. I'm expecting to get a dual motor in December or January, so go, let's make it happen. I want my Cybertruck. And then here's another quick clip. This is I quieted the audio of this because I think the audio is that's copyrighted music. So this is just a clip of workers in Texas looking at the Cybertruck. These are guys who are building the to see how guys who use pickup trucks all the time are excited about this truck. This is really promising if you want to sell a lot of trucks, that the guys who like trucks are into it, right? This is good news. This is a really good thing. Looks great inside. A lot of great stuff with Cybertruck. I can't wait to get mine. I am stoked. Stoked. This is going to be fun. All right. So, Cybertruck is coming. Are we excited? Are we excited? Not yet, but it's coming. This is another good news about autopilot. Tesla just released their safety numbers for the first quarter of 2021. Elon tweeted that Tesla with autopilot engaged, as in you're driving, you have autopilot turned on. I think this is navigate on autopilot. There's now a 10 times lower chance of accident than with an average vehicle. So, and here's the specific data. In the first quarter, 1 accident for every 4.19 million miles driven in which drivers had engaged. And recent data shows that there's an automobile crash every 484,000 miles. So he's exaggerating a little bit when he says 10 times better. It's really 8 or 9 times better, but still very, very impressive. I guess that's 9 times better. It's about 9 times better. So it's better driving with autopilot, without autopilot, with active safety features, which come in every car. And those driving without autopilot and with the active safety features turned off are still twice as safe as regular cars driving. So really, really amazing stuff. Making progress. I think we're going to see FSD version 9 coming soon. That's going to level it up again. And last, I wanted to talk about Model Y. He had a tweet about Model Y. Elon is predicting limited production of Model Y at Giga Texas and Giga Berlin this year, and high volume next year. We don't know what high volume is, but it sounds good if you're a Tesla shareholder. I like high volume. High volume sounds good. There's a lot of talk that we expect to see Model Y deliveries out of Berlin in maybe July. It's probably too optimistic to see that happening in Texas. There's been some sightings in the past of Model Y bodies. There's some hints that they're getting ready to start different kinds of production. There are Giga presses in place. The Giga presses are key. That's like the start of production is you do the Giga press to make the front and rear castings. So this is coming fast. Let's be excited about it. One last thing about Tesla. I just published a video yesterday, day before yesterday, about this guy Erwin. So have a listen to him.
At this point, I think valuation is not really the main game. I think people are playing technicals and trading momentum. And the external factors from the yield curve, the anticipated changes in the yield curve, are really more what's driving the stock than valuation.
So this is a guy named Erwin, Craig Erwin. I made fun of him in a video yesterday or day before yesterday, where I took apart the classic Wall Street arguments that I don't buy, that I think are really annoying. What the stuff he says is nonsense. What you just heard him say there, that the stock is trading based on technicals rather than on fundamental valuation, and then later in the video he contradicts himself. I'm probably going to do at least one more video like this, breaking down another Wall Streeter putting a low valuation on Tesla. This guy had a valuation of $150 a share. And there's so much wrong with it. So you can check out my video. I think I put a link to that video in the description below, or just check my channel. It's one of my most recent videos. The guy's name is Craig Irwin from Roth Capital. So I think that's all the Tesla news I had. And I am going to move on to the Q&A. And before I dive into we're in the Q&A section, but I wanted to share this. This is crazy, Warren. So I had this idea for Cyber Yacht. Let me put this one up first. Cyber Yacht. This is stupid, this is crazy, but what if you took the stainless steel from Cybertruck and Starship and you built a yacht that had this shape with the stainless steel, 304L stainless steel, and you can see it in the bottom, the 4680 cells in the keel. 4680 cells in the keel, engine. This is just this is the kind of stuff, if you're ever wondering, like, is Warren crazy? This is the kind of stuff that just pops in my head while I'm walking the dog. Literally, I had this idea while I was walking the dog. Like, what if you made a yacht out of stainless steel? I think that's doable. I don't know, is this crazy? So, let me take off my headphones. Have a normal, I don't really like wearing the headphones, but I gotta wear them. So, what do you guys think? What questions do you have? I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover. Where are we? Only 22 minutes in. We're finished with everything but the Q&A. Crazy. So, you are an artist. Am I an artist? I'm not sure if I'm an artist. I would call that non-artistic. So let's see what questions we have. If you have questions, fire them up. Let's see if we got anything. Are they still restricted from direct sales in Texas? I believe they are still restricted from direct sales in Texas. Glass says autopilot numbers are slightly disingenuous because autopilot works mainly on highways. NHTSA data covers towns and cities, backing out of driveways, etc. Not fair. So you would be right, except for you're sort of right. I mean, autopilot is only turned on when the driver feels it's safe to turn it on, and it's only allowed in certain areas. But FSD beta is allowed pretty much everywhere, and I believe they are expanding the feature set of where it can drive. I still think you're correct that it's a little bit exaggerated because of the scenarios where someone would choose to deploy it, but it's not worse. It's better. It's not worse. I think this is really good news. They're making really good progress on safety, and I think we're going to see more. Actually, I'm going to do a Clubhouse room next week about this. I think there's an important concept to understand about objective data. You really have to sort of wonder, how do you objectively measure how well FSD is working? And that's something I think is not well understood or thought about. So let's see. Why is the ARC price target so low? I think the ARC price target is not that far in the future. I think that's why, and I think they sandbag. Oh, that 4.0 Solutions, thank you for your contribution. Where can we pre-order this yacht? There are not going to be pre-orders for the yacht, I'm afraid. No, that's not going to happen. Let me see if I can bring this over. I feel like I'm looking too far off when I do this. So let's bring this over so I can see you guys better. Where can we pre-order this yacht? There's no pre-ordering of the yacht. Let's see. Do I think people will be able to take their personal Tesla through boring tunnels at some point? Yes. You will be able to take it through. We'll have to be on autonomous driving. I believe that's coming. I think that's a little ways down the road. Craig Irwin thinks at $150 Tesla is a buy. So what is his real target? That's an excellent point, Eric Mulder, that his answer was sort of iffy. Why did he say that his price target is 150 and then he said he would be an aggressive buyer at 150? That doesn't really make sense. Tesla AI Day. I don't think I know enough about AI Day yet. I think when they do an AI Day, if they do an AI Day, it'll definitely be about Dojo. I think it'll definitely be about vision. Fully understanding the real world is what Elon called real world AI. Not only understanding the world around yourself, but for the device, the world around itself, but understanding where it is in the world. Updates on the doghouse. I'm lagging on the doghouse beacon. Thank you. I keep seeing it. I've got in a spot where I keep seeing it. I really got to get to work on it. Let's see. Jim Whitehead. It would be better if it had catamaran arms that folded out and had solar panels connecting them to the main boat for a concept boat. So the problem, Jim, is you need room for the batteries. And I think your design is more complicated. I get your point about the solar panels. I think maybe a solar sail. I didn't think about where the solar cells go, right? That's true. Where is the solar going on this boat? I'm not sure that the yacht is a solar yacht. I don't know if you can generate enough electricity with the surface area on the yacht to be meaningful. I think that the yacht has a limited range. I haven't figured that out yet. Saltwater environment is not good for batteries. That's why you keep the salt water out with the steel. We have a super chat. 4.0 Solutions, thank you for your support. In our content, we talk about how Tesla is an Industry 4.0 manufacturer and why they are crushing the market. In your words, what is Industry 4.0? I don't use the term Industry 4.0, but I would say that Tesla, if we were to describe Tesla as a manufacturer, it's the rapid iterative engineering and the willingness to change the manufacturing quickly as you get better at something, as you find a better way of doing things. So, I don't use that term. Polyplain stainless steel is too heavy for boats. No, dude. Dude, they've been using steel for boats for a long time. What are you talking about? This goes back to like the Civil War, the Monitor, right? I mean, I don't think steel is too heavy for boats. I think steel is common for boats. I could be wrong. Look, it's a crazy idea. I know it's a crazy idea, but we'll see. Wow, there are a lot of questions here. Let's see. If Robotaxi spins off from Tesla, how would that affect Tesla's share price? So if Robotaxi spins off from Tesla, you would get shares in the Robotaxi company as a Tesla shareholder. So you would have two different stocks, and the Tesla stock would do whatever it would do. The Robotaxi stock would probably, usually when you split off a profitable entity from another entity, the combined value goes up, and you get shares in both. Yes, that's the way it works. You're an owner in the company. They can't spin off part of the company without giving you shares unless there's some crazy thing. Michael Whitfield asks, how many Cybertrucks will be built in 2022? I want to say 100,000. Optimistically 250,000, but I don't think they'll get their run rate up that fast on Cybertruck. So I'd say 100,000 would be optimistic. Warren, thoughts on Elon's haircut? I don't have any thoughts on Elon's haircut. Stainless steel will outlast every other vehicle. The body will last 75 years plus. What is that worth? Way more than 49K. So the Cybertruck only has a useful life of 10 to 15 years before it's going to be outdated by new technology, maybe 20 years. I don't think you're going to be using your Cybertruck after 20 years because the new battery technology is going to be so much better in 20 years. And your Cybertruck is going to be operating as a robo-taxi, hopefully, and it's going to use up its mileage. It's basically going to wear itself out in 20 years from the underpinnings of the car rather than the body. I didn't notice that Q1 fell compared to Q1 of 2020. I think they're expanding the areas where it's allowed to be used, and that's what drives that. Thank you, 4.0 Solutions, for yet another for your support again. Thank you. Where was that question? No, I don't have thoughts on Dogecoin. Where do you think the SNX refresh are? I don't know what's going on with the SNX refresh. I think we're going to learn a lot. The 26th, which is 8 days away, is earnings call. So either we're going to get information before the earnings call, I suspect, but ultimately the SX refresh, they're going to have to answer those questions at the 26th on the quarter one investor call. Eric Ryan, can we talk HVAC? Who here thinks they can first principles revolutionize? I think there's a very strong chance that Tesla's going to do something with home HVAC. I don't know when they're going to do it. I think they have a lot on their plate. I will say that I think the solar roof progress is not going as well as hoped. Quick update on my solar roof. If you haven't seen me talk about this on Twitter, I got a proposal from Tesla that laid out where the solar cells would go. It was only half the roof. I asked them how much they would be able to do with the other half of the roof, but my impression is that the price of my solar roof project is going to go up so high that it's not going to make sense for me to do solar roof, and then I'm going to do a regular roof and maybe add solar panels later. I have to get a final, I don't have a final price yet, but the price that I think we're looking at is going to be dramatically higher. And partly that's because when I did the order, I guess it's my fault. I'm not sure if it's my fault or it was automated on their site, but it underestimated the size of my roof. It basically estimated my roof as a 2,000 square foot roof, and it turns out my roof is a 4,000 square foot roof. So that's twice as many roof tiles to put down. That's to some extent twice as much labor. Not necessarily solar tiles, but tiles that have to go down. So it's looking like that's not going to work. If you double the roof cost, that probably adds $15,000 to the cost. I'm not sure whether they can be adding other costs. I have to figure out, when you take into account the tax credit and the electricity benefits, it's still maybe worthwhile doing it. But right now, from everything I'm hearing, they're raising the price and it's not going to work out. So if they're struggling to get solar roof working well and making that something that they can sell to a lot of people and deliver at a fair price that people are willing to pay, that makes more sense than the alternatives. If they're struggling with that, then what are the chances they're going to do well with HVAC? And does working on those things distract from the other things that might be more important? Roman HX, yeah, I could certainly see that a different kind of steel would make sense rather than the 30X stainless steel. That's a good point. Thoughts on the reported driverless death from 2 minutes ago? So there's a story this morning that some Tesla crashed into a tree somewhere. And of course, the headline has to have Fury Tesla death, car burned up. Because no gasoline car has ever crashed into a tree or burned up. There's a theory that the driver wasn't in the driver's seat and that it was on autopilot. We have no idea. That's where they found the bodies. Was, one body in the front passenger seat and one body in the rear passenger seat. Were they playing with autopilot? We don't know. We'll find out. Here's the deal. If you have autopilot, you still have to sit in the driver's seat and monitor the car. But with what looks like the massive speed with which they hit this tree and the fact that it didn't navigate around a cul-de-sac, it's more likely these were just morons driving badly. There's lots of accidents that happened without autopilot before. What do I think? What do you think? I think Boring Company would be far bigger than many, even Tesla. What do you think? Because here we love your numbers. So, I think Boring Company could be... Yes, I think Boring Company could potentially be bigger than Tesla. Boring Company right now is roughly worth $1 billion. I made up the number, but I think it's about right. I think Boring Company could scale to 100,000 times its current size. 1,000 times its current size would be $1 trillion company. 100,000 times its current size could be a $100 trillion company. 1 mile of tunnel in Las Vegas becomes 100 miles of tunnel in Las Vegas, becomes 100 miles of tunnels in each of 1,000 cities is 100,000 miles of tunnel. And then you add things like the Boring Bearing Project. Check my channel. I just did a video this week about the idea of doing a boring tunnel project through the Bering Strait, connecting the whole world, or most of the world. That'd be 24,000 miles. Intercity tunnels would be more miles. I think you could get to 200,000 miles. It could be $200 trillion company. Huge potential. Any thoughts on Dogecoin? I don't really know a lot about Dogecoin. My impression is that it's a joke, and yet somehow it's working. And it would be the height of irony if Dogecoin became the dominant cryptocurrency. That would be fun. I do not own any Dogecoin. I do own Bitcoin, but I'm not rooting one way or the other. I guess I'm quietly rooting for Dogecoin because I think it's funny. Do I think SpaceX will do I think the SpaceX focus on lunar Starship will speed up or slow down going to Mars? I definitely think it's going to help going to Mars. The focus on this is going to help the engineering. The money is going to go to improving testing and increased testing of Starship, and in particular, orbital refueling is a part of the contract. And orbital refueling is necessary, as in they get Starship up into low Earth orbit. It's orbiting the Earth, it's orbiting the Earth. And in order to go on to a further destination, you have to refuel so you can add more fuel so it can go where it needs to go next. And orbital refueling is both important for the Moon mission and important for the Mars mission. So, thank you, Mark, for your comments about the Mercedes bit. Let's see. Is Boring building a tunnel network for that small town? No, it's just testing. They're just testing it. Let's see. Paulus says, aluminum boats, dude. Aluminum. I don't know if aluminum would work as well as stainless steel. It would cost more, I think. Good idea, though. Let's see. Wow, look at all these comments. This is great. Thank you for your comments. What's the next stainless product post Cybertruck? Obviously, it's Cyberyacht. Cyberyacht. I love Cyberyacht. Will the yacht be one piece of origami folded steel? Yes, that's the idea, that you take a sheet of steel and it's a relatively easy fold, right? Because you take the steel and you fold it up, and then you have to fold up the front and the back. Yes, I think that works really, really well. Am I going to timeshare my cyber cabin? No, I'm going to Airbnb my cyber cabin. I am making a little bit more progress on cyber cabin. I've got this guy I know who's going to review the plan with me and offer any advice and maybe help me do it better. Thoughts on Tesla robotics and maybe the thought of a Tesla cyberjet? Well, it's not going to be a cyberjet because the steel would be too heavy. Robotics, I think that what Tesla is doing with full self-driving, solving the vision problem with full self-driving is going to be very, very useful for solving robotic vision for like Boston Dynamics. So there's a theory that Tesla's going to buy Boston Dynamics. I don't think so, but I could definitely see. I don't think Tesla needs to develop robotics, but it could happen. I don't have that much of it. Galaxy Invest asks about genomics. I feel like genomics is a little bit like nuclear fusion. It's 10 years away from becoming very useful, significantly useful. I think genomics has moved up to being 5 years away, and it will be 5 years away 5 years from now and maybe 10 years from now. At some point, genomics is going to make real progress, but I still think that's a little ways away. There are people who know more about this than I do who think it's coming sooner. Tesla AID means Tesla All-In Day, right? No, Tesla AID means Tesla Artificial Intelligence Day. Do I think Tesla will make the Tesla home? I don't think Tesla's going to do Tesla home. I would like them to pursue that, but I think they have a limit. Elon has a limited amount of bandwidth. I think he's focusing on the things he thinks are most important. I just talked with a friend of mine this week about doing our own housing startup, low-cost apartment housing startup using a lot of solar, energy, including in it like a van service. Let's say it's designed for university housing, and we'll have cyber van or a cyber minibus or whatever to drive students to school or take people to Canaveral. So we're thinking about between Orlando and Canaveral, University of Central Florida and Canaveral, so you can sort of serve both places, have people live in both places, and buy 10 acres of land and build a prototype apartment building, and then build another one, maybe buy more land. We'll see. And we both have money, and his father has money, so we might do that. Will the yacht have sails with flexible solar sails? That's kind of, I think the cyber yacht idea, one of the ideas for cyber yacht would be sails. Yes, solar sails. ARK has investors who don't necessarily want to hear Warren's insane price targets, too scary to contemplate. They just want a super positive outlook. You look, I guess I want to talk about this. I don't think my numbers are crazy. I'm sorry. You look at the battery production and you say, okay, $600 a kilowatt hour. That's what they're making now on their batteries. $600 a kilowatt hour in revenue. That's not including FSD revenue. That's not including robotaxi revenue. That's not including other stuff. It's not crazy. It's not. You're going to see I think we're going to see $150 billion in revenue in 2022. And if I'm wrong and it's 120, that's still a 4X. Did you see the driverless Tesla? I already talked about the driverless Tesla. We don't know if it's driverless. That's all rumor. Fourth industrial revolution. I don't know about that. Let's see. Toyota is Industry 4.0. I don't know enough about Industry 4.0. Warren, did you see the problem Sandy Monroe had with the software on VW ID4? He was not happy. I did see that. I think that a lot of these car companies have a ways to go. It'll be interesting to see whether the Mercedes-Benz EQS software delivers better than this other software problems we're seeing with these other companies. I think Porsche's software works pretty well. So hopefully Mercedes will get it right. We'll see. Stainless steel should be way too heavy for rockets, which are much more sensitive to weight constraints than boats. Yes, agreed. I think airplanes is the challenge. SpaceX monopolizing the industry. Well, they are monopolizing the industry because nobody else is doing the right things. Tesla has almost 10 possible spin-offs. Yeah, I agree with that. I could see some, rather than Tesla doing Tesla Home, I could see some Tesla engineers saying, hey, Elon, we want to spin off Tesla Home. And let's do a startup like Boring Company was a startup with one of the SpaceX employees. I could see some Tesla employees who had worked on HVAC and solar saying, hey, we want to get together and build this. Elon, will you fund our startup? I could see that happening rather than it being inside Tesla. I could see it happening outside Tesla. I don't know anything about the Huawei car. Do I rehearse all these questions? No. When do I think the SX refresh will be delivered? I think they'll start delivering sometime this quarter, but we just don't know what's happening with S and X. We don't know what's going on with the refresh. I don't know. John P. says, how many Tesla shares do you have? I have a lot. A lot. It is 85% of my IRA. I am not employed by Tesla. I am a Tesla fan. Just earlier on this, I'm a fan and I root for Tesla. Just earlier on this live stream, I was critical of the solar roof progress. I think that they're struggling with solar roof. I I don't know what's going on with Solar Roof. I think they need to rethink what they're doing. I think they're not delivering what they hoped for with Solar Roof, and maybe they'll get there, maybe they won't, but right now they're not there yet. I'm still waiting to see. Right now I'm not that impressed with that part of it. Nevertheless, I'm really excited for Tesla. I think they're going to make progress, but I'm starting to wonder if Solar Roof's ever going to work. What was my job before YouTube? I am still a lawyer. I am a criminal defense and personal injury lawyer. My joke is that my law firm motto is keeping drunks on the road since 2003. It's a joke. We actually, when I represent people, they usually lose their license while I represent them because that's the way our DUI laws work. But ultimately, they get their licenses back if we do well in a case. Personal injury and criminal defense and traffic tickets. So, Elon's haircut like Ted Cruz. When do you think the Tesla van will be introduced? Tesla van, I think that Tesla will do a van and a minibus on the Cybertruck platform, and I think it will be 2024 or 2025. I think 2023 is going to be the compact. I think there's a chance that the 2023 compact will have a van version, that there'll be a hatchback version in Germany, there'll be an SUV version in the US. I think there might be sort of like a mini cargo van, mini passenger van version that seats 6 or 8 people or carries enough cargo for smaller runs. Ultimately, I think there will be a larger van bus that'll be on the Cybertruck platform, but I think there's a chance they'll do some kind of minivan on that platform. Is SpaceX monopolizing the space industry with a NASA contract? No, I mean, there's still plenty of other stuff going on in space. The Chinese launch rockets, the Russians launch rockets, Arianespace launches rockets. Tesla is dominating the market because they're dominating in kilograms launched, mass launched to orbit. They're just more cost effective than everyone else. Wait, did I miss something? Does EQS have fart mode? With will the Boring Company obsolete NIMBY and rights of way issues by putting power lines underground? Yes. I don't know about. It will reduce the NIMBY arguments. I think we're already seeing environmentalists trying to fight. Let me rephrase that. There are groups that pretend to be environmentalists who are funded by industries that are facing ruin by Elon's companies. And these fake environmentalists are challenging things that Elon's companies do. And that's kind of unavoidable. Can you get a DUI using autopilot? Yes. Eventually, when it's a full self-driving car, that should eliminate DUI laws. What's Tesla going to be in 5 years? 2026, I am projecting a share price. This is an optimistic projection. I think the share price will be between $20,000 and $25,000 a share with 18 million vehicles produced in 2026. That's a video I'm probably going to do soon, is my projection for 2026, why I think they're going to hit $20,000 a share or more in just 5 years, and how they're going to produce 18 million vehicles. I've talked about it before, but I want to make a video that's really focused on that point. Solar on trailers, great idea. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the trailer thing is going to be big for Cybertruck. Let's see. Open vagina. No. Do you think Cybertruck will come with yoke or normal steering as standard? Will with the other as an optional change upgrade? I don't know. I could see it being an optional upgrade. It doesn't seem like it's important to me that maybe the base model Cybertruck will have the wheel and the tri-motor will have the yoke. I don't know. I think yoke is Y-O-K-E, by the way, not Y-O-L-K. I could see performance models of 3 and Y and the other cars. I could see them getting the yoke steering as an option. That makes sense to me. So does EQS have fart mode? I don't believe EQS has fart mode. Patsy says, I see Elon getting a bit chubby. Do you see Elon's health as a potential concern? Should I protect my investment, sell a couple of Tesla shares, and buy him a treadmill? I have a feeling Elon can get a treadmill if he wants one. He doesn't need your help with that. I don't think Elon's health is a concern. I don't think he's more overweight than I am, and he's 5 years younger than me. He's got better hair. Whether it's real or not is another question. But let's talk about the Elon risk. One of the most common questions people ask me is, what happens if Elon leaves? He dies, he gets sick, he gets pulled off the company for some reason. Is that an existential threat to Tesla as a company? No. Steve Jobs died. Apple has grown tremendously in Steve Jobs' absence. The issue with Tesla is that Elon and the Tesla team have gotten to the point where It's baked in. The growth path is baked in. For the next 5 or 10 years, they know their growth path. Drew Baglino gets it. Zach Kirkhorn gets it. Jerome Guillen gets it. There's a solid Tesla team that knows the plan, knows how to implement it. Elon is an accelerator. If you lose Elon, then the $20,000 a share in 2026 goes to $15,000 a share in 2026. The $50,000 a share in 2030 goes down to $25,000 or $30,000 a share in 2030. He's an accelerator. He's able to make the decisions that really push innovation. He's able to solve problems that are harder for others to solve, but they got most of this stuff done already. His contribution is going to be a little bit less going forward because they've made so much progress, and really he's going to add more value to Neuralink because they're going to need some innovative engineering. He's going to add more value to SpaceX and the Mars mission in particular. So, let's see. Do you think Tesla would ever use auto bidder type software in the residential space to become a distributed utility for homes with Tesla solar? Yes. It's actually interesting. There's another video I might make. Oh, Alexandra, thank you for your support. What's your theory on the current stock price still low? Good for buying more. Is Wall Street not getting it, or is it influenced by oil and legacy? So very clearly, the current share price is driven by short-term traders. At the same time, I think Wall Street, the big money, does not see the future the same way that we see the future. I don't understand how you can miss the battery plans. I don't see how you can miss the lower cost, the lower capital expenditure cost, that they're able to build more factories faster and grow faster and deliver their products at lower cost. They don't spend money on advertising. So I just heard that Porsche spent $100 million on a Super Bowl commercial. That's $100 million that you got to add to the cost of your cars. They don't spend any money on advertising. Elon is like the brand, right? He promotes the brand, and he's got 50+ million followers on Twitter. And when they make a video it goes viral on YouTube, and people like me make videos about their videos, and there's constant promotion of this product. So for some reason, Wall Street doesn't see it. I don't think oil and legacy are powerful enough to keep the price down. I think it's just that Wall Streeters don't see it the same way we do, and that's bizarre. And they're thinking too short term. They're not thinking out to 2022. I don't know why they're not, but they're not. So Jason asks about auto bidder software. So there's a video I'm probably going to make talking about energy, and there's this software called OptiCast that's built into Tesla. I believe they used it with Powerwall. So commercial users have different pricing most of the day versus peak time, that their price of electricity doubles at peak time. So if you have a mega pack and you have solar, let's say generating, whatever, you're taking electricity from the grid or from your solar, and you build up your battery. And then when you hit that moment where the price jumps, if you can use battery in those moments and then charge the battery later at lower electric rates or free with solar, you're shifting cost. And that is available at least to some residential users. Apparently that's available to me if I get solar. So it makes a lot of sense to shift your usage, and that OptiCast should be available. Whether AutoBidder will be a part of it, I don't know. Like for myself, I suspect that my house will not be producing enough electricity from the solar to be feeding back to the grid much. It'll be just enough to keep everything going. So let's see. JR, thank you for your support, JR. Very much appreciated. Let's see. Sorry, wait. German girls, what was that? I feel like I'm missing something here. Where's Alexandra's comment? Okay, let's see. Yeah, somebody said, when you asked that question, how many shares do you have? The answer is not enough. I have enough. I would like to have more, but I have enough shares. I'm comfortable. Thank you, Jason, for your kind comment. Let's see. About the video at the Boring Company and the Bering Strait tunnels. This is from Didrik. How will 2 tunnels transport enough products from China to USA to totally eliminate transport overseas? This is a great question, Diedrich. So the video I made, boring bearing. Check out the channel. Look at one of my recent videos, boring bearing. The idea is 4 tunnels going from the west coast of the United States up through Canada and Alaska, through the Bering Strait, down through Russia to China. So, Diedrich, I want to ask you this question. I want you to think about this for a second. The tunnel's 6,000 miles long. The containers are 40 feet long. So you've got 100 containers a mile? I'm not right. You got more than 100 containers a mile, and you got 6,000 miles. So that's like 600,000 containers. I have that right? 6,000 times 100. It's like 600,000 containers moving. I think that's plenty. I don't think that's a challenge. I think that those containers will. You've got 600,000 containers just in one tunnel. And you know what? If you need to bore another tunnel, you bore another tunnel. I don't think that's a huge issue. It is interesting. I had a conversation. Apparently, we don't send the containers back to China because it's cheaper to produce new containers in China than it is to ship the containers back. And I wonder if using the boring tunnel back will make sense to ship containers back to China. That will actually be cost effective to send the containers back. The containers won't wear the same as they do on a ship, so they will be more valuable when they get here and when they get back. Tesla microcar needed. I'm sure that's something like that's coming. Were you picked last for dodgeball as a kid? No, I was actually I'm 6 foot tall, somewhat athletic. I tried out for my college basketball team. I'm actually somewhat athletic. I'm 55 now and not in great shape anymore. But, no, I was not picked last for dodgeball. Hey. All right, it's going to ring. Maybe my wife will get it. Elon should buy Arrival. No, I think Arrival's a questionable business model. What's a realistic view of Tesla shares in 2025? $3,500 a share. So I think that you can look. Shoulder asks, what's a realistic view of Tesla shares in 2025? So I'm going to go out to 2026 and say $20,000. If they're able to deliver 18 million vehicles in 2026, let me break this down for you. I've done this before, but let me break this down for you. Right now, the factories we know about, Giga Berlin, Giga Texas, Fremont, and Shanghai, when they're all producing at full volume, they should be producing close to 6 million vehicles. And that should be by the end of 2023, if not before, that they will reach 6 million vehicles just on those 4 factories. So think about that. By 2023, Tesla should be producing and selling 6 million vehicles. I'm including Cybertruck, Model Y, Model 3, SX, but primarily Y and 3 and Cybertruck will be the volume. There's also Semi, there's also Roadster, but those are relatively low volumes. Semi could ultimately be a fairly high volume vehicle at a very high price, so we'll see about that. But the market in China and India is huge, so we'll see. But leaving that aside, we got the 6 million, let's assume 6 million vehicles there. The 2023 Compact is coming. I'm expecting that vehicle, that factory producing that vehicle will be able to spit out 4 million vehicles a year. 4 million vehicles a year. Single casting of the whole chassis, structural pack, 48-volt wiring, other innovations we haven't thought of, because they do that every time they come up one of these days. They say, okay, here's our new innovations, and everybody goes, whoa! Okay, that's coming. So that factory produces 4 million vehicles a year, and they put 1 in China, 1 in Texas, and 1 in Europe. And that's 12 million vehicles a year. And those are fully ramped by the end of 2024, maybe into 2025. So that's 12 million plus 6 million. That's 18 million vehicles a year. In 2026, they produce at least 18 million vehicles. The revenue's through the roof. That's that's 36 times what they produced in 2020 in 6 years. All right. So I think $3,500 is a very, very low estimate for share price in 2026. And by 2025, we will see 2026 coming. They will have already built all these factories. We'll just be waiting for them to ramp. So I think 15,000 a share in 2025 is possible, because you'll see, okay, we can see it's going to be fully ramped, and the competition is coming argument will have been lost, that everything, all the other. And also, that's not including, then you add in robotaxi. By 2026, robotaxi should be happening. So Brooke asked about Ambry battery technology. I don't know enough about Ambry technology to talk about it. Tony asks about the next funding round for Boring Company. I think within the next year or two, they're going to have a funding round. Hoping I can get in on it. When will Elon introduce the molecular transporter? I don't think that's coming anytime soon. If Elon just starts another company, Robotaxi, and Tesla just sells FSD cars to the new company, if so, why would Tesla have to give us shares in the new company? Okay. Those are two. That's a different way of looking at it, Scotland. What I believe is going to happen is Tesla has developed the Robotaxi software and the hardware, and they will spin off Robotaxi. I'm not saying this will happen. I'm saying this. I think this is a potentially smart thing for Tesla to do. That the Robotaxi network is spun off as a separate company. And I kind of feel this way about, there's all this talk that antitrust officials are going to come in and break up Tesla. So if you're concerned about that, you break up Tesla. Elon breaks up Tesla before the antitrust officials get there. That way you break it up in a smart way. There's no real... It makes sense to keep Robotaxi in because you're producing the Robotaxis for the company. You're keeping your costs lower. You don't have to keep track of the costs when you take the Robotaxi from Tesla and put it in the Robotaxi company. But once the Robotaxi company has, say, 20 million vehicles or whatever its target is for the number of vehicles it wants to have, then maybe the cost of adding additional vehicles is low, or there's some contract. So I don't think that's something to worry about. Let's see. Sorry, there may be more questions here. Ben Pena, thank you for, let's see. Paulus, I would like to meet you one day. Well, where are you, Paulus? Come to South Florida, we'll meet. Cyber Cabin Day. Well, that hopefully is coming soon. Aaron says, trailers solve housing issues quickly, especially with EVs. Airstream trailers are nice, but seem really overpriced, ripe for disruption. Yes, I think trailers built for Cybertruck and trailers built for Model Y are coming, and I think they will disrupt. I think that will be a disruptive moment. Wow, look at all these questions. This is great. So, Scotland, I hope I answered your question, but it's a tough one. I mean, I suppose you could start up a new Robotaxi company, but transferring the Robotaxi software over to the new Robotaxi company would be an event that would be difficult. Joe Jablonski asks, can you do every show with the German girls? No, the German girls are gone. I have found that the bikini girls in the videos are something I like to do. I am a red-blooded heterosexual American male, whatever. I like girls in bikinis, but it is not something that has worked out for the channel overall, so I stopped doing it. So, that's a long conversation. Dave says, my sense is that Tesla Solar is tainted by having to use outside uncontrolled installation construction, so many variables with disparate installation crews and methods. Dave, I agree with you. I think one of the problems with Tesla Solar is that it's very difficult to get consistency with your construction crews. And I think if they really want to make that work, they're going to have to do it all in-house, that's a big project to establish roofing crews for the company. But I think it could go there. I think that would be the solution. I don't know whether they're going to do that or not. It would make sense to bring the roof installers in-house. Grid is going to be, let's see. Musk has hair plugs. I don't care. Did you say conservative 20 to 25K in 5 years? I didn't say that was conservative, Cater. I do think that it's reasonable to see 20 to 25K in 2026. Plain and simple, the 18 million vehicles, FSD, robotaxis, it gets there. Oh, love your channel. Hope you can provide an analysis or counter argument to 2-Bit Da Vinci's video, The Truth About Tesla Full Self-Driving. I haven't seen that video. 2-Bit Da Vinci, Ricky, has become very, very negative on Tesla recently. I'm not sure why. I have a bet with him about Lucid Motors. I think you can just watch Dave Lee's interviews with James Doma. You can watch my recent video about Andre Karpathy's interview. I don't think I need to do a rebuttal for 2-Bit Da Vinci, but I'll take a look at it if I remember. I could see a world in USA where we have megapacks in all neighborhoods. Okay, so Neil Saxon brings up the idea of megapacks in all neighborhoods. So if you build a neighborhood that has, let's say, 300 homes, and you, from the start, you're planning this, then it might make sense to have a mega pack for the neighborhood rather than power walls in the homes. I think at some level, if you build a neighborhood, I don't know if it's at 100 homes, 200 homes, 300 homes, at some point, it would make more sense to have one megapack than have power walls in every home. You need to have some, the problem with that is people use different amounts of energy usage. And if they're single family homes, how the energy is, there's an incentive to overuse electricity if you're not responsible for it. So having the power walls in the homes is better in some sense. But I think like for an apartment buildings, for condos, it could really make sense to have megapacks. Single family home neighborhoods, that might be tougher, but it's still, I think it could work. Is there any video of Elon at the Texas Terrafactory? What did he say to the workers? I have not seen that video, Ben. Do you think Elon will spend more time on space now? Yes. I think Elon is putting a lot of time into space already, into SpaceX now. But I do think that over time, as Tesla succeeds more and more, I think Elon's attention will shift more and more to the Mars mission. Personally, when do you think Tesla Solar will really start ramping up in high volume? I don't know, Brooke. I thought they would be there by now, and it's taken too long. I think demand for solar roof is really high, but they're having trouble dealing with it, and I don't know what's going on there. That may be a good question to ask for the investor call. Apple joint venture with LG and Magna. I do not believe that Apple is going to make a car. I don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen. Everybody talks about the Apple car. I don't see it. It's not going to happen. Will the Tesla van fit in the Las Vegas tunnel? Yes. Elon specifically said that Cybertruck was going to be narrower by a little bit so it would fit in the tunnel. And there's not a lot of reason for Cybertruck to fit in the tunnel. The reason you'd want the Cybertruck to fit in the tunnel is because you're going to build the van on the same platform. I am fairly, I don't know it. I don't have any reason for it. I am fairly confident that there's going to be a Tesla minibus and cargo van that is designed to fit in the Boring Company tunnel, and it will be on the Cybertruck platform because that's the right size for it. Do I think Elon will go on a trip to Mars? Yeah, but not for a while. I don't think Elon's going to Mars for 10 or 20 years. And then he's going to be older, so we'll see. If he has a Neuralink, maybe he'll go. He's got to back up his brain to the cloud before he goes. If Tesla does become a distributed utility for Tesla Solar from residential, do you think they will buy back that power to fuel their robotaxi fleet and give homeowners credits and robotaxi miles? It's an interesting plan, Jason. I'm not sure how that would work. I like it. What would be a fair price of Tesla right now? I think Tesla is easily worth $2,500 a share right now. Do I think Wall Street will begin to recognize value in Tesla following great first quarter earnings? It's difficult to pinpoint when they really start to take notice, isn't it? Yes, it is difficult. So I don't know if the earnings numbers will be as high. The fact that S and X did not ship, that the refresh did not deliver, probably is going to lower average selling price somewhat significantly. So I think we're going to see lower average selling price. I think margins might not be as good because of that. There may be a charge, some kind of charge because of this. There may be some kind of cost that we didn't anticipate that relates to this refresh. They're going to take a hit against earnings in the first quarter. Let's see. How about some exercise machine in your FSD Tesla? I don't know what that means. What would we see? Hey, Warren, did you have a chance to read Barron.com article about autonomous driving by Xpeng? No, I did not see that. I do get Barron's print. I didn't see that in the print edition. I'll take a look at that. I follow Gary Black, so I'll see. Where's Alexandra's question? Oh, I was looking for your question so I could find. I scroll through my chat to find where I was before, and I was looking at your question before. Looking at a question above your question before, so I was trying to get back to it. What was the last time you bought shares and at what price? I think I bought stock in the low 600s. It dipped. I bought when it dipped below 400. Then it went up to like 900. It dipped down around 700. And I bought a little bit around 688 or something like that. And then it dipped to the low 600s and I bought more. Will Tesla be bigger than Amazon? Yes. Tesla will be the biggest company in the world by 2023. You know, I can't predict what Wall Street's going to do with share prices, but, you know, it's crazy. If the freight in a tunnel is moving at 150 miles per hour, that's probably faster than the fastest ocean freighter by 10 times. Yes. Carl, in addition to that, in addition to the speed of the containers moving in the tunnel versus containers moving on the ocean, I think 100 miles an hour is more likely than 150. The other advantage of the tunnels in terms of speed is that there's time spent at the port. You know, they take the container off a train, put it on the ground, put it on the ship. The method of loading, getting containers into the tunnel and out of the tunnel is probably going to be a lot quicker. And you're probably going to do customs checks at the point of destination. And the thing's going to be going 100 miles an hour, so there's no chance for somebody to smuggle anything onto a moving container. So I think that in a tunnel, so I think that's all going to be good. What about a Miami to New York City boring tunnel? I think that's possible. I think we're going to see boring tunnels connecting cities in the United States and other countries. I do think that that could very well happen. I don't know how soon that happens, but I think that could happen. I would say that we're going to see shorter tunnels first and eventually longer tunnels. I don't think the boring company tunnel in Bering Strait is going to happen right away. I think they got to prove the concept a little bit more and get the cost per mile down before we really get there. Let's see where we are here. Has this been covered? Fatal Tesla crash. It's too soon to know what that Tesla crash is about. It's an easy and cheap headline for news media that, you know, we don't know what happened yet. We won't know what happened for a few days. Why does a small town need boring tunnels? They don't need the boring tunnels. They're letting Tesla test the tunnel boring technology. They don't need the tunnels. Is your investment in Tesla insurance against robotaxi reducing your legal practice? Okay, so my legal practice is almost done. I actually just handed off my last personal injury case to another attorney. I don't think it's formal yet. I don't think I signed the documents yet, but my last personal injury case is being handed off. I have 2 criminal cases left. I'm not actively seeking legal work. I handed off all my New York work to somebody else. So no. My investment in Tesla is an investment in Tesla because I love Tesla and I think it's going to be huge. Thank you for joining. Somebody just joined the channel. Thank you for joining. Yeah, look at shipping backlog and one ship jam in the Suez Canal. A single point failure is a high-risk choke point. Yes, I think that the tunnel will be... I don't think you see a lot of tunnels getting clogged by crashes. I think the design of the tunnel will make failures very, very unlikely. So I don't think that's a serious risk. And I think it'll be easy to fix them. If there's something happens and it slows things down for a day, it slows things down for a day. But that's going to be rare and it'll be quicker to fix. If FSD works, robotaxi should cover 99.999 whatever percent of cases. What about the remaining cases without a steering wheel? Maybe control. I do think that we will see remote operator as a solution to robotaxi. There will be some sort of remote operator feature that makes sense to me. What do I think of Tesla AI Day? I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to learn a lot about artificial intelligence. Did you wear your hair long as a teenager? I wore my hair like a fro as a teenager. My hair doesn't grow down, it grows out. Or at least it used to. Sergey says, Tesla stock is not valued based on sales revenue. Most of its valuation is based on future growth. When they produce 20x the cars, it will not mean stock price would be 20x. Correct, unless people think it's going to keep growing. And the valuation is partly on the number of vehicles. It's not sales revenue, it's also on profit. So when they grow to 20x the number of cars, the profit margin will be much higher. The profits will grow faster than the revenue. Because there's administrative overhead that becomes smaller over time. Your face looks thinner this week. Are you on a diet? Oh, and thank you, Roseanne, for joining the channel. Am I on a diet? I am on a diet, but I didn't lose any significant amount of weight. I've been about the same weight for a little while now. Where'd we go here? Oh, Chris Weinhaupt asks, why did Boring drop Baltimore from the website? Because the city of Baltimore probably isn't following through on what they talked about, and they decided to focus on what's important. Let's see. Oh, you know why my face looks thinner? Because I'm wearing a black shirt. Black is thinning. Buy the shirt. Makes you look thinner. Tesla is the next Tesla. You are here. Buy the shirt. Link in the description below. I think it's the first shirt. I think I set it up so that's the first shirt you see when you look below the description. If Tesla's profit on their Bitcoin goes to $10 billion, will that accelerate and totally pay for all Tesla's compact and subcompact factories? I don't think they're going to sell their Bitcoin. So they're not going to use it for that. Maybe at some point they sell some Bitcoin, but I don't think they're planning on doing that. They already have the cash to pay for the factories now. They have enough cash to build all the factories now. The planned factories that we know about, including the 2023 compact factories and all the battery cell lines, they already have the capital for that. And they have cash flow coming in that funds everything as well. When will I be able to put my Tesla on the robotaxi network? Brent asks, when will I be able to put my Tesla on the robotaxi network? 2023 question mark. I think it could be 2022. I think we're going to see FSD working well enough by the end of this year that we're going to see robotaxi networks somewhere, either end of this year or early 2023. It's a question of where you are. If you're in New York or Michigan or Europe, it's going to be later. If you're in California, Texas, or Florida, it's going to be sooner. I think the robotaxi network starts in one city and then gradually expands to other locations over time. Thoughts on potential risks given current US-China tensions? I think there's always geopolitical risk. I honestly think that the US government is a greater threat to Tesla than the Chinese government. People are always telling me they think China's a threat to Tesla. I think the US government's the threat to Tesla. There's a video called Debunking the Vegas Loop. There's a couple of videos out there. There's a guy named Thunderfoot. There's a channel named Thunder. He has almost 1 million subscribers, and he's been trashing Hyperloop and Boring Company for months or years now. There's some new video out there. It's nonsense. Vegas Loop. Lots of people have looked at this. City engineers, all kinds of other people have flown in and checked it out. This is coming. It's going to work. It's fantastic. The whining and complaining is nonsense. This is stuff that's the people who aren't thinking. Yeah, sure. If you built a project that cost 10 times as much money and ran on land and got in everyone's way, then maybe it would deliver more people. That's not helpful when no one's writing it. The Boring Company solution is a better solution. It costs less money to build it. So if you don't build it, they won't come. And all these other solutions suck. They don't get built. People don't ride them when they do get built. This solution will get built, is getting built, and will solve problems, and people will ride it. What do I think about NIO? Is it a valid opponent to Tesla? No. Opponent is the wrong word. They're working together to get rid of internal combustion engine vehicles. As far as I can tell, NIO's doing a pretty good job making pretty good cars. I don't think they're competitive with Tesla's cars. Their decision not to go with structural pack is a mistake. I think their battery swap thing is a mistake. George Law says 18 million in 2026 is a bit overblown. Look, I gave you the numbers. The 4 factories they have now should be up to 6 million vehicles well before 2026. And the compact factories should be producing, maybe they only produce 3, maybe you're right, maybe they only produce 3 million a year, and it's only 15 million, right? But I think that they're going to produce 4 million a year. You're going to see, this is going to blow you away. And if not, you just produce more factories. You just build a couple more factories. Put one in India. Put one in North Carolina. Put a second one in China. The factories don't cost that much. It's easy to build more factories. Are your stock shares in hundreds or thousands? I have... Yes, they're in hundreds or thousands. I like that. The answer is both, bizarrely enough. Agree on Cybertruck. Yeah, Cybertruck trailer day would be cool. I think, it's funny when you think about trailers. So my vision of the world going forward with robotaxis is you have a vehicle that's capable of towing. So you have a pickup truck. What contractors are used to is they drive their truck to the job site and they have stuff in the back of their truck that they use and they keep the truck on the job site. And that's very inefficient in a robotaxi world because you want the truck to go out and do more jobs while you're sitting on the job site. So instead of keeping your stuff in the back of the truck, you keep your stuff in a trailer. The Cybertruck shows up or the Model Y shows up and tows your trailer to the job site. And your trailer has batteries in it so it can power your tools. And the trailer holds a lot more stuff than the back of a pickup. right? Because the back of a Cybertruck is 6.5 feet long. You're going to have a trailer that could be 10 feet long. You're going to be able to store more stuff in your trailer than you'd be able to store in Cybertruck. So and it'd be taller too. Your trailer would be taller than what would you'd be able to hold in the bed of a Cybertruck. So you'd be able to hold a lot more. So I think that's a much better future. Warren, how's your solar roof coming? Bob, they didn't give me a new price yet, but I believe the price is going to go up, and I believe it may become so expensive that we won't do it, but I don't have an answer yet. Turkey Day. Yes, I need to interview women who are auto experts who also wish to wear a bikini. I have thought, believe me, I've thought of those ideas. I'm pretty sure they're not good for marital harmony, though. And there are women who watch the channel who probably wouldn't appreciate it as much. I get a surprising amount of criticism of the bikini girl stuff, so I just stopped doing it. At a certain point, it just becomes not worth doing. It didn't add that much value to the channel overall. The trailer can be self-powered and braking and assist the towing vehicle by being its battery backup. I don't think they're going to put motors in the trailer, Carl. And I want to thank, by the way, Carl, and I didn't see whether the moderators are here. I want to thank Carl for moderating the chat. I think the trailer software could integrate, but I don't think it makes sense to put motors in the trailer. I think I think you want the trailers to be as light as possible otherwise, batteries and storage. But I could be wrong. You could be right, Carl. Why are solar panels so expensive in the US compared to most countries? I don't know that they're more expensive here. Tesla has them down pretty cheap. I don't know. Cyberlander costs as much as a Cybertruck. I think Cyberlander is like a nice idea, but I'm not sure they can really deliver on what they're talking about. Thoughts on Microsoft partnership with GM Cruise for self-driving? I think that all the other self-driving solutions out there are in deep trouble. I don't think anybody's close, and I don't think Microsoft or Apple are going to make them any better. Any idea on OpenAI? I don't know that much about that. Mrs. Redlick doesn't care about the bikini girls, no. She finds that amusing that I do that. I don't think she cares one way or the other. My kids don't like it. They don't really care that much either. Start talking about Dogecoin. I just don't care that much about crypto. I care a little bit about cryptocurrencies. I think they're interesting, but I don't get excited about them. There was a great interview on Lex Friedman yesterday, day before yesterday, with a guy talking about Bitcoin and comparing Bitcoin to other cryptocurrencies. It was I thought he was reasonably persuasive that Bitcoin's going to win, but I still think there's room for other cryptos. Damien, Warren, do you think Cybertruck will have a fifth wheel option? That way you could use Cybertruck for hotshot flatbed trailer hauling and make a 6 figures a year at lower energy cost. I don't know what the fifth wheel option means. I think that Cybertruck will do a lot of trailer towing. I don't know what the Jay Leno show is. I don't know what you mean about the Jay Leno show. Do I still believe QuantumScape is a fraud? I don't know if I would say QuantumScape is a fraud. I don't think I ever said I believed QuantumScape is a fraud. I think QuantumScape is iffy. I think the business plan they laid out when they had their SPAC merger, whatever, and they announced their plan that they're not doing volume production of battery cells until something like 2027 or 2028. And I'm not convinced that they're going to produce a better battery than Tesla will be producing by then. So I think the recent report was not good. I just made a video about QuantumScape. I think the recent report that I covered in a recent video suggests things don't look that good at QuantumScape. When Robotaxi is launched, won't the sales of cars to the public be reduced? There will be no need to own a car for some people. Yes. I have a video talking about why Tesla will stop selling cars. Check my channel for that. Apple still has the means to merge with Tesla? I don't think so. I don't think Elon's willing to merge, so that's out. Did I pre-order the Semi? No. I think it'd be interesting to see if there's this category of pickup that's between the F-150 and a Semi, like the F-350 to F-550, somewhere in that range, that Cybertruck is probably not capable of handling that range, and Semi's too big for that. And I wonder if they would either make a more heavier duty Cybertruck or make a downscaled version of Semi. I think that'll be interesting. I did see Jay Leno driving Cybertruck through the tunnel. Do I think Elon will go to the moon? No. I don't think he'll bother going to the moon. Will you go to the Loop party in Vegas? Is it already scheduled? I am planning to go to Vegas if they have a party. I don't think they've scheduled anything yet. And I think I would know if they had scheduled something because I'm in touch with a lot of people on Twitter. Will Austin or Berlin produce a car first? Great question, Coreglass. I think that Berlin will produce a car first, but I'm not sure. I think Germany is doing a really good job of slowing Berlin down, and Texas is going full bore ahead fast. So it could come out of Texas first. What will Elon do on 420? I think he will have a good day. Hi, Mike. Thank you for joining the chat. Are you working with Kelly Roofing? I don't know anything about Kelly Roofing. I don't know what that is. Will other brands use the Tesla supercharger network? I believe that Tesla will set up the supercharger network so that other cars can use it. I don't think other brands will want their vehicles charging at the Tesla supercharger network because that exposes their customers to Tesla branding in a positive light because the supercharger stations work so well. Let's see. Paulus, thank you for your... Thank you, Paulus. Where was I? Do I think Apple? Let's see. Do I think Neuralink is an existential threat to iPhone? Yes. Yes, I think, but it's down the road. It's probably 10 years away from being a potential threat to the iPhone. I don't think it's going to be a threat to the iPhone anytime soon. What percent of your portfolio is Tesla? It's about 85% of my IRA, depending on what the share price is on a given day. Mr. Sevilla asks, will the Boring Company tunnel cross oceans? Check my channel. I did a video not very long ago about boring the Bering Strait. I don't think it's viable to go under long stretches of water, but the Bering Strait is short enough that I think it's viable. And that could connect the whole world and make all other ocean tunnels irrelevant. I think the big question is Southeast Asia to Australia. Would that make sense? I don't know. Thank you, Cater, for your kind words. Do you think boring tunnels might follow interstate highways? Yes. I think it is very likely that boring tunnels will follow interstate highways. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, there will be others. I think we might see a boring tunnel from South Florida to Orlando that would not follow an existing highway because it wouldn't need to. But are you concerned about Tesla in India? They don't buy a lot of cars. The average car price is $12,000. How can Tesla succeed there? So I'm not concerned about Tesla in India because India is a small car market, and I don't think it's really important for Tesla to reach India with the cars in the near future. I heard that semi would be very successful in India, so semi might happen in India. Solar might happen in India. I think a minibus could be very successful in India because a lot of people are used to using mass transit, and a Tesla minibus cramming 30 people on something the size of a Cybertruck could be very, very profitable and serve a lot of people and make their lives better. When can we expect... Oh, this is a good point. When can we expect container pods as robo-trucking? Actually, it's something... I don't know if you were talking about this, what you meant, but we talked about the container shipping going through the boring tunnel from China to the North America. One of the things that we didn't talk about was if you are shipping through these tunnels from China to North America, you wouldn't need to use these sturdy steel containers anymore. You're not going to be stacking them. They're not going to be exposed to bad weather. So you would probably be able to use much less expensive and lighter weight containers to hold things coming through the Boring Company tunnel. So container pods, I haven't seen container pods as robo-trucking. Those would need to be sturdier if they're on the back of a truck, so we'll see. Let's see. Do I agree Tesla was boosting the importance of industrial design? Yes. Industrial design, industrial engineering. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Team JG, for your support. Would you please interview Taylor Ogan as he seems very knowledgeable? Please let Taylor Ogan know. I would love to interview Taylor Ogan. That would be fun. I don't have any communication with Taylor Ogan connections, so if you can connect us, I would be happy to talk to that person, Taylor. When will I see a Cybertruck in Canada? I think next year. I don't think there's anything slowing Cybertruck from getting to Canada. Europe's tougher. Canada should be straightforward. Do I think the SpaceX NASA contract will bump up the Tesla price tomorrow? No. I don't think it shouldn't. I mean, the reputation, the positive branding sense, maybe, but it shouldn't matter. Have you seen the Boring Company's new boring machine? I think we've seen it. I think we've seen it in Las Vegas. Cyber submarines, that's an interesting idea. I don't know if that works. Shouldn't Tesla install electric power output capability to all of their models ASAP? It would be very handy in power outages and as a remote power source for worker camping. I believe that Cybertruck will have power out for tools. I think power to the home is something that may come, but I don't think it's that important. Warren, will the supercharger network open to competitors? I think it will open to other vehicles soon. Is the Starship lunar contract the most impactful, consequential contract in SpaceX's history? I don't know. I think it probably is. I mean, probably one of the earlier contracts were more important in SpaceX's history. Andy asks, how come I was wearing the VW shirt the other day? I was doing a video about QuantumScape, and Volkswagen is an investor in QuantumScape, and part of the video was about Volkswagen. I didn't think it was appropriate to wear an Elon shirt for that video. Would it be feasible to get rid of dangerous waste by sending it off-world instead of polluting the planet? I don't think that makes sense, but maybe. Maybe the worst way, but then you run the risk the rocket blows up. Did I buy Coinbase shares? No. If a Starship lands in the ocean, is that technically the first cyber yacht? Maybe. John Smith. Yes, I had the same communication, John. He says, my solar roof advisor reached out to me and said I could cancel my roof and they would refund my deposit. She didn't mention the new price increase. So what I got, John, was I got that email. I got a follow-up email with a description of the project plan. And I asked on Friday, I didn't have an answer yet, about increasing the amount of solar. My roof would have 12 kilowatts, would generate about $20,000 of electricity a year. I would like to, or was it 20,000 watts? No, it was about $2,000 worth of electricity a year. I want to see if we can expand it to more, as long as I'm doing it, how much electricity generation can I get out of it? Because not only am I going to be powering the house, I don't think I need to go to 24 kilowatts, but going to 18 kilowatts would make more sense. When do I think SpaceX will IPO? I don't think SpaceX will IPO anytime soon. I think Starlink will IPO in a few years. And SpaceX current shareholders will get shares in the IPO. And I think Elon is not going to IPO SpaceX until the Mars mission, until they've made really good progress on Mars colony. So I think they may spin off other aspects of SpaceX, but not the Mars project. Should I buy a Tesla Model 3 without FSD if I don't have much money, just enough to buy the car? If you need a car, yes. I would say if you're financing the car, then you can afford to finance the FSD, but I don't know. When does the industry realize LiDAR isn't the way to go for autonomous cars? They already know. They already know. They're hiding it. Sorry, I'm just looking for questions here. Yeah, this is Ken points this out. Craig Irwin, the video I just did recently about Craig Irwin, he has a price target of $150 on Tesla, but he rates it a hold. If you think the stock is worth $150 a share, you would rate it a sell. It's a very confusing thing. Do I agree Tesla? Okay, I already answered that. Tesla making two-wheel vehicles? No. Let me scroll down to the bottom and run back up the other way. Is Tesla Final Steps car-to-door robot a good R&D investment? I think that it makes sense. Okay, so there's this idea that you're going to see robotaxi delivery services, and you'll have a robotaxi driving around, and when it gets to the driveway, a robot hops out with whatever's being delivered and brings it to the door. I used to think that was a good model. I think that Amazon's drone delivery plan is a better model that will cost less for most packages, as long as the packages are reasonably lightweight, like less than 5 kilograms, which is 12 pounds for Americans. What do I think Tesla free cash flow will be while building the next generation of compact factories now to 2025? I think they're going to have great positive cash flow for a while. I don't see any threats to Tesla's positive cash flow. Do I think Tesla could be working on some secret energy breakthrough like Dave Lee mentioned in your interview with him? I think Tesla is working on more advanced battery technologies. I think that they're going to be advancing the 4680 cell format. and they're going to get to 400 watt hours per kilogram on the 4680 high nickel cell. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a skunk works that's working on solid state batteries. I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on their own. The problem with solar, I had this theory that they were developing their own wind project, but I think solar and wind are already very well developed and they're improving rapidly. So I don't think there's a real potential for Tesla to add something to that industry. So how do you think Tesla will, hey, do you think Tesla will acquire RE in the future? And do you think Tesla will adopt electrochromic glass technology? I don't know what RE is, and I'm not sure what you mean by electrochromic glass. I don't think so. I think I know what you mean by that, and I don't think they're doing that. I don't think it's worth doing. What's a reasonable estimate for Starlink IPO's price earnings ratio on the open market? Too big of a question. Too many complications to answer that. I think that if Starlink is up and running and serving customers and making some profit, then the IPO will be priced well over $100 billion. I don't know about the price earnings ratio. I'll see the tweet, Team JG. Thank you for suggesting it, Taylor Ogan. That sounds like fun. We'll see if we can set that up. What is causing Tesla stock prices to be down over the last month? Short-term stock traders move the prices in the short term. I don't understand it. Robotaxi comes in 2030 because 3.2 trillion miles driven in the US each year. What percent error rate does FSD have to be to reduce crashes to 1,000 a year? That's a big question. So I think that robotaxis are going to drive crash rates down, but you need to get all the human drivers off the road to really reduce the... In other words, if you have a million robotaxis and 80 million human drivers, then robotaxis aren't going to significantly reduce crash rates. You have to get to the point where all drivers are robotaxis, and then that will dramatically, or even 50%, would dramatically reduce crash rates. If Starlink has enough money to get their entire system up and working, what's the reason to IPO? The reason to IPO is to reward the SpaceX shareholders who've been invested in SpaceX for a long time, and they're waiting to be able to get cash out of their investment. Some of them invested in SpaceX like 15 years ago or longer, and they've been holding shares waiting for it to actually pay off. They could rely on dividends, but it's a way of getting your money out that's hard to do otherwise. Do I think Elon belongs to an alien race that created the universe? I have a video where I talk about whether Elon Musk is an alien. Maybe he's from outside the simulation. I don't know. Let's see. Hi, Warren. You don't think Tesla will get into boats and motorcycles and such things? I do think Tesla might get into boats, or they'll do a spin-off that does boats. I don't think they will do motorcycles. No, Elon doesn't like motorcycles. Cyber jet skis, maybe not cyber jet skis. Maybe. I don't know if the steel is a good idea for a jet ski. I'm not sure about that. Let's be honest, we want sex robots. Sure. Warren, how about Cyberglide? Kites for hang gliding. I don't think you'd make that out of stainless steel. Okay. Wouldn't an Asia to North America tunnel have lots of political risk? Some political risk. So, Glenn, this is a good question, but I would say it this way. China wants the tunnel. So China wants the tunnel. China's not going to want to impair the tunnel. I mean, the political risk is from the US, the political risk is from Russia, but China will take care of Putin. If Putin is a problem, then China will deal with that. China is the one that benefits most from this tunnel commercially, so China will make sure it works. So Ayakona says there's a high-speed railroad tunnel in Japan which travels under the ocean to connect the main island Honshu with Hokkaido, so maybe Bering Strait is possible. I don't think Honshu and Hokkaido tunnel is that far, and the Bering Strait is probably farther and also much colder, but a better comparison is the English Channel tunnel, the Channel. I believe that is roughly comparable in length to what the Bering Strait would be, and it's also deeper. The Bering Strait is shallower, so it should be easier. Would you invest in battery recycling companies like similar to Redwood Materials? No, I think battery recycling is a long way off of becoming a valuable business. Too many things could happen that make that difficult. You don't have enough volume of batteries coming. They're still not producing electric vehicles in a lot of volume yet. So let's say there's 1 million Teslas on the road today. They're not going to be, the vast majority of those vehicles, their batteries aren't going to be recycled for at least 10 years. So when does the battery recycling industry really get going? It's at least 10 years away. So I think that's a questionable investment. Do I think demand will become an issue at some point? 6 million seems optimistic, let alone 18 million. No, I don't think demand will be an issue because Tesla will be the lowest cost producer and the highest value producer. That the market for vehicles that are $25,000 or less is large enough that 18 million vehicles, 12 million of those is not going to be a problem. And they're going to be the best cars on the road. I agree that the banning gas cars is not needed. You can banning some kind of car you don't like doesn't really solve any problems. Paula says, say it, aluminum and aluminium. You want me to say aluminium? Is that better? Lieutenant? Schedule? When will EVs account for 50% of new car sales? Okay, so there's about 90 million cars sold a year. So you would need 45 million if we continue selling 90 million a year. If you believe that vehicle sales are going to go up to 100 or 120 million, you need to get to 60 million EVs. I think if that's scenario, then I think you're probably talking about 2028. If Robotaxi goes live, it reduces the demand for new cars, and you may see only 60 million sold, and you only need to get to 30 million vehicles. So that's tricky. Do I fear that Elon could become too powerful? No, I do not fear that. Governments are way more powerful than any human. And I'm much more afraid of government power than I am of Elon power. Will Elon ever make a grass we don't have to mow? It already exists. It's called artificial turf. Will Cybertruck release with all the options available, or do you think it'll be sometime after release before ATV, trailer, etc.? I think that you're right that some of the things that you might want to go with Cybertruck will be released later. Will Tesla acquire another car maker? No. Free Kekistan, that's comical. No way Elon is human, sorry. I think he's human. David, thank you for your support. David Yadagarians, I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you for your support. Will you be buying into Starlink or SpaceX IPO? Depends how it's priced. I think Starlink goes to a $5 trillion company potentially. So if you can buy into Starlink for a $100 billion valuation, then hell yes. I have a feeling that Starlink's IPO will be priced higher than that. But I just have to see what it's valued at when we learn from it before the time comes. It's too soon to decide whether to buy in. Did you see Sandy Munro breaking down Tesla's engineering superiority? Do you think exposing Tesla's tech will help competition catch up? Yes, I've seen Sandy Munro break down Tesla's engineering superiority. I think it helps a little bit with the competition, but the competition is so far behind and so organizationally challenged that they can't get there. Roman asks, will Elon be superhuman soon with Neuralink? Soon? I think we will all be... Many of us will be superhuman soon with Neuralink, but soon is 10 years or longer. Do I think a Tesla monopoly would be damaged by the government? Government is the greatest threat to Tesla. When will Tesla offer dividends? So I think if they spin off the Robotaxi company as a separate company, that offers dividends. I think if they don't spin it off, then they will have to offer dividends because they're going to be accumulating so much cash they won't know what to do with it. And it will make sense to do dividends. It'll be the worst, the bizarre situation if you have a growing dividend company. See. Could I ask you to do some homework on the electric skateboard platform and publish a small video on it? I don't care about electric skateboard platforms. I'm interested in Tesla. I have no interest in that topic. I don't know anything about it. I'm not motivated by that, so no. Will Elon leave the Earth to settle on Mars? If yes, when? I think he might go to Mars in 20 years. Maybe sooner, but 20 years. On 420, at 420, are you going to smoke a bowl? No, I do not smoke marijuana. Not interested. Did enough of it when I was younger. Luis, people keep asking this. What's the status of your solar roof? Will you be doing a video on the full installation? So people keep asking, so let me answer it again. I just got an update on my solar roof project. I know where the panels are supposedly going to be. I don't know what the price is going to be yet. I believe the price is going to go up significantly, and I haven't determined yet whether the price will be so much higher that it will not make sense for me to do the roof install. That's where we are. If the price goes up $10,000, $10,000, then I will go ahead with solar roof. I think the price may go up $15,000 or $20,000, and then it's going to be a tough call. I can afford it, but it's, does it make sense to spend, because it's going to cost me $36,000 to have my roof done regular. So doing doing solar roof with solar roof alone would be like $38,000, very close in price. Power walls are another $22,000, so that's $60,000. You get a tax credit. Tax credit saves like $10,000. You're paying more already. The power walls have the added benefit of protecting us when there's a hurricane or power outage, that we still have power. But if it's going to be an extra $30,000 and I save $10,000 in tax credits, extra $20,000, then you have this question about, all right, you're saving me $2,000 a year. It's a 10-year payback. I don't know if I'm going to be in the house 10 years. That's tricky. Thank you, Team JG, for introducing me to Taylor Ogan. We'll see if that happens. I will try to make it happen. Tesla market cap in 5 years, $20 trillion. Why solar roof and not leased panels? So I wouldn't lease panels. I would buy. I suppose I could lease them. Solar roof, because I need a new roof anyway. So once you need a new roof, it tends to make more sense to do a solar roof. But if solar roof is so expensive that it doesn't make sense, then I have to think of something else. Thoughts on GM claiming a 400-mile Silverado? I haven't even seen that. I don't have any opinion on it. Thank you, Alexandra, for watching. Is Elon a reincarnation of Nikolai Tesla? No, he's way better. Hi, Warren. Do you see Tesla stock splits coming? I don't think about stock splits. I don't really care about stock splits. I don't understand why people care about stock splits. I care about the company itself, and stock splits are a small factor, an almost insignificant factor in the company's success. I don't think they really matter. Yes, David, exactly my point. Solar roof pricing may be too high, that the payback on solar roof is too high. The thinking, where I'm going with this is that if I do a regular roof, I might put solar panels on the regular roof, that it may be more cost effective to do solar panels on the regular roof than to do solar roof. Did you already cover SpaceX? I think if you look in the, you look up here, if you scroll back, you'll see where I talked about SpaceX. That's what the outline's for. Carl says India has lots of smart people and lots of workers who might like a job at Tesla. Battery factory, maybe solar, superchargers, smaller volume car production would be great. I don't think Tesla is planning to make a smaller volume car factory. Semi will be smaller volume. That will make sense. But I don't think Tesla is planning on making a smaller volume car factory. The whole idea is to build a factory that's so efficient that does it make sense to build? Maybe if you just have, I think the way that they've designed the factories, it makes sense to build them in large scale. Ayaz says Tesla market cap in 5 years will be 5 to 8 trillion. 22 trillion is too unrealistic. Ayaz, if they're delivering 18 million cars a year and they have the robo-taxi network up and running with 10 million cars making $500 billion a year in profit, then $5 trillion is way too low of a market cap. Are you going to buy a Roadster? No, I don't. I'm not I was interested in sports cars when I was younger. I don't really care about sports cars anymore. Can you drive a truck from China to India? I don't know the answer to that question. Yeah, I think they're improving the speed of installing solar roof. I think that's getting better and better. But I think they're a long way off of where they need to be for solar roof to work. I think there's just too many challenges in that process. I really think they need to bring it in-house. And Jim Allen, I haven't priced leased panels yet to see whether that makes sense, especially if we think we're going to be moving in 6 years. I'm not sure. I think we're going to stay in this house for another 6 years. I think it makes sense to buy the panels. Warren, do we think Tesla can double battery production to 12 terawatts by 2030 crew in India in exchange for Starbase City 2 in India, nation of engineers, and underfunded quality space program. Damien, your question is confusing. I don't really understand your question. I don't know what you mean by double battery production to 12 terawatts. Tesla's only aiming for 3 terawatts in 2030. I don't know. I do think they could build a Terafactory in India, but where would the batteries, what products would the batteries go into is the problem. I think an LFP battery factory in India might make more sense. Do I think Tesla will make a Model X with 500 miles of range? No. I think the Model X is fated to disappear eventually. Will Tesla ever do an RV? I have a video about that. Check out my video, Cyber Van Minibus. It's in my Cybervan Minibus video. I do think they will make an RV based on the Cybertruck platform. It'll be like a van. Will Lunar Starship come with Cybertruck-based rover? No. I don't think it's going to have a Cybertruck-based rover. Will Tesla acquire another car maker? I answered that. Let's scroll down to the bottom. Model D soon, Dogecoin, no. But would not a solar roof help your resale value? Yes, a solar roof would help resale value, but I don't think it would help the resale value enough to offset the cost. And the resales in the future, so that's another issue. So I think future Starship prototypes will launch Starlink satellites and or third-party CubeSats. Starship will definitely launch Starlink. It is planned that Starship will launch 400 Starlinks in a launch, and the cost per satellite will work out to about $5,000 launch cost. The satellite itself will cost more, but the launch cost itself will be low. What are my future plans with Tesla gains? My Tesla stock gains? So my plans are to hold Tesla stock until at least 2030. When I retire more than I've retired now. And we've talked about, we live 10 miles from the ocean. If all goes well and Tesla 10Xs or more, 20Xs, whatever, then we will buy a condo or home on the beach and go for walks on the beach in the morning instead of walks in our neighborhood in the morning. I like being near the beach. If that's viable, then that's what I will do. Should we abolish all laws? Sure. I don't think Starlink IPO will be next year in the summer. I think Starlink IPO is at least 2 or 3 years away. Tesla Japan. I think there's a really strong chance of a Giga Japan compact robotaxi factory in Japan, in Osaka, near Panasonic's hometown, that Panasonic makes high nickel cells or lithium iron phosphate cells for Tesla compact robotaxis. I think that's a really good plan. And I have a video where I talk about where the factories might go. If you search my channel for Japan, I think it comes up. Sea level rising will kill beachfront properties. Maybe. I'm not too worried. I don't think that's going to happen before I die, so I'm not worried about that. Will Tesla build a factory on Mars? I don't think Tesla will build a factory on Mars. I think that factories will be built on Mars. But I think we're talking 10 or... Well, if we start landing humans on Mars in 2026, let's say, with the initial mission, and then by 2030, we've got 50 or 100 people on Mars. At some point, you really start to scale the Martian colony. And I would say in the 2030s, you're going to have thousands or tens of thousands of people on Mars, and you're going to start building the real infrastructure to create a sustainable colony. And then you get more and more people there. And, once you have 1 million people there, you're going to have factories there. When do you think... Oh, I've answered that question before. All right, let's see. Where are we? We're an hour and 50 minutes in. Any other thoughts on Tesla's near-term skunkworks type projects beyond enhancing the 4680s? Yeah, I think Tesla probably is working on solid-state battery chemistry. Not with the goal of, I mean, to some extent, that's with the goal of achieving higher energy density, but I think it's really more about getting lower cost to the cells. Lower dollars per kilowatt hour is a really important feature. I think the minibus van project is arguably a skunkworks type project. We don't know about it. They're probably working on that. I think the pod car single passenger robo-taxi would be in there. A boat, Tesla home, Tesla HVAC. Who will be number 2 and 3 after Tesla? So let's assume we're talking about car production first of all. NIO is certainly making a case for themselves. XPeng, I think it's going to be somebody in China. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there. Would Elon grow marijuana on Mars? I think that marijuana will be grown on Mars. I don't think Elon's going to do it. Warren, by the time you sell your house, you'll be a billionaire. What's a few extra thousand for a solar roof going to matter? That's a good point. I do think about that, Kyler. I do think about that. I can probably afford to spend the extra money on the Tesla solar roof, but it doesn't make sense to spend the money if it doesn't pay back. That's basically it. If it makes more sense to do a regular roof and put solar panels on it, then I'll do that. Will Tesla make triangular cyber pizzas? That's a strange question. Number 2 will be Lucid after Tesla, obviously. Yeah, okay. Lucid's never gonna... I don't think Lucid's ever gonna sell a car, but that's my opinion. Let's see. Answered that. Oh, we're running out of questions, folks. There were a lot of questions earlier. I think we've covered everything. Well, Elon just... I think we covered all these questions. All right, let's see if there's other questions. What is the impact of the latest Elon tweets on stock price? I don't think his latest tweets have any meaningful impact on the stock price. Oh, Geom asks about whether I've seen The Expanse. My wife and I are watching The Expanse now. I believe we're in season... I think we're in season 2 now. Maybe we're still in season 1. I think we're in season 2 now. And we got a long way to go, and so far we're liking it. Do solar panels last longer than the underlying roof? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think Tesla's solar roof lasts longer than solar panels or regular. Tesla's solar roof will last as long as a regular roof. Will Cybertruck FSD price go up when it's time to configure? No. When you reserve a Cybertruck, it locks in your FSD price at the time. Will Tesla work with Palantir? I don't see any reason for Tesla to work with Palantir. Any thoughts on Highland? I don't know about Highland. I don't know what Marsuana is. I have not seen the Debunking the Vegas Loop video yet, and I'm probably not going to bother watching it, but maybe I will break down some Thunderfoot and that video and tear apart why they're so stupid. Do you own Dogecoin just for the giggle? I have not bought Dogecoin yet. One of the interesting things about cryptocurrencies is it's hard to buy cryptocurrencies except for Bitcoin. Thank you, Paulus, for your support. I'm not sure I understand what you said, but I thank you for your support. Tesla Marine Shipping. I think they might... I could see Tesla doing a boat. I get this question every time, Warren, why don't you own a Tesla? Because the Model 3 was not really available in meaningful volume when I needed a car because my lease was up. And I ended up buying a Volkswagen Passat for only $18,000 brand new. And I don't drive a lot of miles, so I don't need to save money on my vehicle in terms of mileage. Is anyone else making tunnel boring machines? There are other companies making tunnel boring machines and doing tunnel boring, but their tunnel boring machines are typically much larger diameter and they're much more expensive to operate, and they're not innovating in the same way. Any ideas on a nuclear Starship in 2030? I don't think nuclear is coming for Starship anytime soon. 2030 is kind of far off to think about. I don't think Tesla's going to make an e-bike. No. Elon does not like two-wheeled vehicles. He likes four-wheel vehicles. Gully for Hyperchange sold 9% of his Tesla stock to buy his Tesla for cash. Is it not wiser to finance the Tesla and keep the shares if you're a Super Bowl? I think so. I mean, it's easier for me because I have other money. So, you know, I'm not 100% in Tesla. I have other money. I have other assets and resources. So, Can you mention your idea of Tesla 2021 total car production number? So in my recent video, I said I thought they would break 900,000 vehicles, and there's a chance they hit 1 million. John asks, I'm interested in Cybertruck. When do you think it will be? I will get my Cybertruck if I order one today. Yeah, I think that the demand for Cybertruck is so high, and the production volumes, I don't think they're going to get to, the 100. I think they'll get to the 100,000th Cybertruck by the end of 2022, and then they'll do 250,000 in 2023, and maybe they'll scale faster. But they have 1 million reservations. So to get to the 1,000,000th Cybertruck is probably more than 2 years away. I could be wrong. Maybe some people won't take their reservation, but I think everyone who has a reservation, or almost everyone who has a reservation will take it. Thoughts on SpaceX use of 3D printed parts? I think they use them. I think it's a good thing for them. What are we doing here? Cool. Will the Boring Company have competition? Yes, the Boring Company already has competition. Other people do tunnels and other things. I want to be clear about this. This is an interesting question. So one of the things that really stands out to me is competition comes in different ways. So if you listen to Joe Biden, President Biden's infrastructure, what is his plan? He talked about fixing bridges and replacing bridges. It doesn't make sense to replace bridges anymore. Boring Company tunnels are more cost-effective than building bridges. It's probably more cost-effective than fixing bridges. So I would not be surprised to see bridges go away in favor of tunnels. So in a sense, you can think of bridges as competition for tunnels, but there are other companies that tunnel. I don't think a nuclear Starship is necessary for Mars. When will we see 4680s on the road? July, if not sooner. Could Tesla include Starlink inside cars? They could, but they won't. They'll include Starlink inside RVs, vans, buses, airplanes. I don't think they're going to put them in regular cars. Would you do a week-long space tourism trip on SpaceX Falcon Dragon if the ticket was free? I signed up for the Dear Moon mission, which is a week-long trip on Starship. Would you put this $5 in Dogecoin? So the problem, Trent, is that it's hard. I thought about buying EOS. I thought about buying Cardano. I thought about buying other cryptocurrencies, and I have. It's like, it's more difficult than it should be. Like, what wallet do you use? What exchange do you use? And I don't really care that much to put time into figuring out. It's not like it's hours of work to figure it out, but it's not like you just do it on a whim. And I just haven't persuaded myself it's worth the effort to do that. 2021 revenue predictions for Tesla, 60 billion. Ballpark at 60 billion. 55, 60 billion, could be more. Will Cybertruck dual motor have long range option? I would love that, but I don't think so. What is Boring testing out in the middle of nowhere? They're testing better ways of tunneling, Trent. And thank you for your support and for your membership. Just use Binance as one account with wallet. Yeah, but okay, but then I got to figure out how to use Binance, and I just don't care enough. Do I have hundreds or thousands of Tesla? Yes, I do. When will they make a Tesla van? 2025, 2026. Will others make smaller and cheaper tunneling machines once they see Boring's success? Probably. Did I take the vaccination? No. Where is Proof Rock made? I think they're making the tunnel boring machines in Hawthorne, but I'm not 100% sure of that. I think they're going to move production of the boring machines to Austin, Texas. What other global problems will Tesla solve with AI? I think they're going to use artificial intelligence, Dojo, to improve Neuralink's functioning with the brain, to improve Neuralink reading signals from the brain and transmitting signals into the brain. Do I think earnings Q1 will lead to a Tesla share price increase before mid-May? I don't make short-term stock price predictions, and it's really hard to know what the earnings call is going to say. I wouldn't be surprised to see a one-time charge that reduces earnings. I wouldn't be surprised to see earnings are down because S and X the refresh didn't happen. I think there's a lot of things that could happen there. Do I hold only Tesla shares or also options leaps? I only hold shares. How much of that $5 does Warren get? I believe I get 70% of the YouTube revenue from these chats. It could be wrong. I don't remember. I get like 95% of the Patreon revenue and like 70% of the YouTube revenue. So that's why I like Patreon. Why does it take so long time for Tesla factories to scale? Is it normal? So I think Tesla factories scale much more. First of all, Tesla factories get built faster than other companies' factories, and they scale quicker than other companies' factories. I don't think it takes long. I think it's fast. Somebody asked if I could have a discussion with Gordon Johnson. I have watched other people have conversations with Gordon Johnson, and it's not really a sound conversation. Gordon Johnson just talks really fast and throws a lot of BS out there, and he doesn't give direct answers to questions. So it'd be a waste of time to have a conversation with Gordon Johnson. I may at some point take a video of Gordon Johnson talking and break it down. That may be something I do, because people hate Gordon Johnson, but he doesn't engage in a genuine conversation. Like if you ask him how many batteries will Tesla produce in 2022 or 2030, he won't give a straight answer. Well, this was a good question from Goran. How much money will Boring Company need to raise? So I believe Boring Company will need to raise tens of billions of dollars. You know, billions in the short run, small billions in the short run, but eventually tens of billions of dollars to build the machine that builds the tunnel boring machine. All right, let's see. When do you think Fremont becomes irrelevant with such high production from the other factories? Will it be a drag on the margins? I don't think it'll ever be I mean, it might have lower margin, but I don't think it'll ever be a drag. I think it becomes relatively irrelevant by 2018 because Fremont will be producing maybe less than 1 million vehicles a year, and total production will be around 18 million vehicles a year by then. But I don't think that's necessarily irrelevant. If you got 5% of production in one location, that's still probably relevant. So maybe you have to go out to 2030. See. Hi, Jessica. Thanks for joining the chat. Thanks for watching. Thoughts on short seller Mark Spiegel? I have a video where I made fun of Mark Spiegel. If you check my channel, I have a video where I made fun of him and another guy. That's a good video, too. I really got him. That was good. Will Tesla invent a camper van? I think there will be some kind of camper van coming. What is needed to scale, Diedrich asks. Are the employees getting more efficient, or am I missing something? So, Diedrich, they scale faster because, number one, using GigaPress means that the manufacturing involves fewer parts and fewer processes, and that allows you to scale quicker. So going to 2 gigapresses eliminates 600 robots. Going to the stainless steel origami folding style of for Cybertruck will reduce time. Making better paint shops reduces time. I think all those things come together and increase scale. Do I think Boring Company will do a public IPO? Yes, I think Boring Company's IPO is less than 10 years away. I don't know, I just think. Would it make sense for Tesla factories to build boring machines? No, it would make sense for a Boring Company to build the machine that builds the machine rather than Tesla to build the machine that builds the machine. I have never eaten at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant. I have very rarely eaten at very high-end restaurants. Very rare. Would China suppress the success of Tesla in order to keep a local company as a leader? No. Tesla is already the leader, and China loves it. And yes, Scotland, the tunnel is 29 miles long. Bering Strait is longer, but there's islands in the middle, so that makes it much more viable. Please evaluate the Peterbilt RMO batteries collaboration. I don't know anything about that. Thank you for your support, Gary. Mentellect, how much percent-wise are Tesla's factories compared to other EV manufacturers and traditional automakers? I don't know what you mean by percent-wise, Mentellect. Tesla is getting their cost of building the factories down, and they're getting their production up, but I don't know how to put that in percentage terms. 4680, the most important part of ramping Cybertruck, and why? Yeah, probably. I mean, I think paint shop is going to be a big issue for Model Y. I think the GigaPress manufacturing techniques, I think they've already got down, so that's going to be easier. But I think they're pretty close to. They still have to nail 4680, but I think they're going to get there. Gigapress for semi. I don't know if they're going to use Gigapress for semi. It would make sense that they would use Gigapress for semi, but I don't know for sure that that's what they're doing. Antoine, there was a crash where a Tesla crashed and 2 people died. It was a car crash that happened to involve a Tesla. It was not a Tesla crash. That implies that the Tesla was somehow responsible for the crash, which is silly. Cars crashed before Tesla existed. Cars continues to crash that are not Teslas. Stop calling it a Tesla crash. It's a car crash. Will Tesla get into production of windmills? Great question. I think that Tesla windmills would be an interesting development. I don't know that they're going to go there. I think it's questionable whether they're going to go there. The question is there some innovation in windmills that would make sense? Where I see it would make sense is if they could come up with a smaller scale windmill that you could use on a residential or commercial site that wasn't quite as big as these huge windmills. And I think the answer is probably no. There's a reason they make windmills the way they do, and the engineers who make windmills are very smart. John MS, what will the boring company do with all the spoils from the tunnels? Well, when they can, they'll make boring bricks, and when they can't, they'll dispose of them how all other such waste is disposed of. I don't think there's anything unusual about that. Lots of dirt is dug up in many ways. Is China Compact coming by the end of 2022? I don't know what you mean by China Compact. There is another factory that is being built in China. It may be for semi. We don't know what that factory is for. I don't think the Compact that was revealed at Robotaxi at Battery Day is coming in 2022. No. Question, are you selling out of the money covered calls on your shares? No, I don't play options games with my Tesla stock. I know everyone thinks that there's this great options strategy that's out there to do something with your stock. I don't do any of it. I'm just holding my stock. Why would I sell calls? Then I would be giving up my upside. It's crazy. Is there wind on Mars? Yes, but it's very, very, very... It's not a productive way to generate energy because the atmosphere is so thin that the wind, even though it might be high speed, would not turn your propeller, your windmill very much. Do you know why Berlin seems to be slow walking the permitting process? Because Germany is a very bureaucratic country and there are people who play games through the bureaucracy to slow it down. Eric Ryan, Warren, why haven't you had Elon on the channel yet? Also, do you think you'd even be able to speak straight? I don't think Elon's coming on my channel anytime soon. I would love to have him. I did make a video talking about the questions I would ask him, so no, I think I would be fine speaking straight. I already know what questions I would ask. I've already prepped for it. What does your wife think of your YouTube celebrity status? I think she's mildly amused by it. I'm not really a celebrity outside of, we go for walks. It's not like people point and go, oh, there's Warren. I'm more of a celebrity in my home, in my town for West Boca News, because I live in West Boca, than I am because of YouTube. Do I follow Solving the Money Problem and Tesla Economist? I stopped following Stephen Mark Ryan because I liked his channel originally and I got tired of it. I still think he's great. It's just not for me anymore. Tesla Economist I've looked at. It's hard to watch someone else's models. I like my models, and I've watched a couple of his videos and I don't really like them, and I can't put my finger on why, other than that I like doing my models my way and I don't like his way. Not that he's wrong. Just I like doing it my way. When do you think we can expect a one-piece casting machine? 2023. Anything new regarding advanced wiring of the Y? I don't think they're doing advanced wiring of the Model Y. I think the advanced wiring will happen with the Compact in 2023. Will Tesla make airplanes? So I have a controversial theory on this. Well, number one, no, because Elon said they're not going to. And number two, I think the boring companies, tunnels and hyperloops and regular loops make airplanes irrelevant. So I don't think there's a market for I think the market for airplanes dies with boring company tunnels and robo-taxis. Damian Weiss, Warren, do you think the best factory for India is a Starship factory? This is interesting. SpaceX may make tens of thousands of Starships with India's abundance of engineers to greatly accelerate a Mars colony. I like this idea, Damian. I like this idea. I'm not sure. I think India has a good location near the equator that would be convenient. They probably have low cost of manufacturing. I like that idea. I think there might be some sort of, U.S. government weapons export restrictions that would stop manufacturing of Starships elsewhere. But I still like this idea. Warren, your CAD system sucks. What CAD system? I don't know what you're talking about, Tactical Tesla. Are there no positive aspects of government? You can find positives in any negative. Overall, government is pretty negative. I served on my town board that was not a bang up promising thing for my perspective on government. 100-mile-an-hour wind on Mars is like a 4-mile-an-hour wind on Earth. Yeah, that sounds about right. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 1-mile-an-hour. I thought the atmosphere is 1% of Earth's atmosphere. Tesla did crash construction on freeway cement blockade. I don't know about that. Torque News said Tesla has been behind on some payments. That's nonsense. That's the typical over-reporting of something that's not really news. What do I think of Cyberlander, the Cybertruck camper? I saw the Cyberlander, and I think it looks a little bit like a clown car. It may be viable, it may not be viable, but I think the way they designed that, you wouldn't be able to fit anything else in the bed of the truck. So what's the point? I don't think Cyberlander makes sense. How soon did I order Cybertruck? I ordered Cybertruck in the first hour of the reveal, so I expect to get my Cybertruck one of the first ones. So I expect to get it in December or January. I don't have any computer-aided design software in the first place. I don't know what you're talking about. Can I help Jessica with her audio issues? What audio issues does Jessica have? Jessica, if you have audio issues, let me know and I'll see if I can help you with them. I was not aware she had audio issues. I have talked to her about video production before. For those who are interested, I use a Blue Yeti microphone with this thing that called a pop filter, so that when I say the P, it doesn't make a pop sound with the microphone. I use a software called OBS that has audio filters that help improve the sound. That works really well, so I'm really happy with that. So that's my advice to anybody who wants to do better audio. Get a Blue Yeti mic and use OBS audio filters and play with them. Oh, Ross, thank you for your support. When Boring Company builds a toll tunnel following I-405 from I-5 to I-101, I don't think it's I-101, it's just the 101. I expect Tesla will sell a lot of vehicles so people can escape stop and go surface freeway traffic. Same everywhere the Boring Company builds tunnels. Agreed. That's an interesting idea, that if the Boring Company builds tunnels that only take autonomous vehicles and Tesla's the only autonomous vehicles and it beats traffic, will people buy Teslas in order to beat traffic because they can ride in the tunnels? Yes, that makes a lot of sense, actually. My brother lives off of 405, so I'm familiar with that. The LA traffic is horrible. It can be really horrible. So if you can beat LA traffic, it's great. Let's see. Will another OEM be able to build a production car that's faster 0 to 60 than the Roadster? No. What will finish first, Giga Texas or Berlin? That's a tricky question. Giga Berlin will finish first because Giga Berlin will not have as much on the property. Giga Texas will finish later. The question is, who will start producing vehicles first is a different question, and that one's a close call. I actually think Texas might produce vehicles first, even though I think Berlin's ahead. But I think the Texas government is very friendly, and Austin government is very friendly to Texas production, and the German government keeps getting in the way. So I think Berlin will still produce first, but Texas might edge them out. But the Texas property is bigger, so finish will be later. Oh, this is a good question. How do you charge the cyber containers in the tunnel? You run electricity in the tunnel to power the cyber containers. You can run electric wiring in the tunnels. Sub-monthly to FSD or purchase. We don't know the pricing yet, but I think the pricing of subscriptions will be so high that it will make sense to buy. Do I think Elon will come up with a way to teleport consciousness into a host that is robotic, clone, or otherwise? Yes, I think Neuralink will achieve that. That is probably at least 20 years away. Will you wrap your truck? No. I will not wrap my truck. I will go with straight stainless. Do I see SpaceX spacecraft providing point-to-point long-distance travel using a network of international spaceports? I have a video where I talk about that, how I see them doing that. I see not city to city, but rather having spaceports that serve like multiple cities. So like one spaceport serves Shanghai, Beijing, Seoul, all in one, and maybe another city or two. And the spaceport is offshore, off Shanghai, let's say, and then there are Hyperloop tunnels from the spaceport to the cities. And then you do the same thing in the west coast of the United States, and one spaceport serves Los Angeles and San Diego and Santa Barbara and maybe San Francisco all in one spaceport. I think that works. Do I like Sinatra? I don't hate Sinatra. My mom likes Sinatra, and I play Sinatra for her. Is it true 1.4 million Cybertrucks are pre-ordered? I heard 1 million, but I don't know. What about Venus? Will there be supercharger rage? I don't think so. If Russia pulls out of supporting the ISS after 2025, do you think NASA would shift to having SpaceX build a lunar base instead, boring tunnels on the moon? I think that Tesla might build its own space station. I think that you could just launch a Starship. If you could, launched a couple Starships, or maybe you did something in conjunction with the name of that company that builds the inflatables. I definitely think there's potential for a new space station soon. Once Starship is flying regularly, you're going to be able to launch a much larger station that'll be much more valuable and much more productive and cost a lot less to build. And I do think that there will be a lunar base built, but I don't know when. It's not a priority for SpaceX. Somebody else is going to have to decide they want it to build a lunar base. How do you calculate the PE ratio? What's the uncertainty of the PE ratio in your models? This is a great question. So PE ratio depends on how fast a company is growing. When a company is growing very fast, then the PE ratio is higher. When the company's growth slows, the PE ratio drops. Good examples of this are Amazon's PE ratio is around 75 or 80, and Apple's PE ratio is around 30. So I guess Amazon is growing that much faster than Apple, that its PE ratio is higher. Don't underestimate germ bureaucracy. I'm not sure what that means. Underestimate their ability to slow it down or to speed it up. Will the Teslas in the LA boring tunnel have I think you mean the Vegas boring tunnel. Yes, they will have steering wheel and pedals. I think the compact robotaxi in 2023 might finally ditch the steering wheel. What's your favorite CAD software? I don't know why people are asking about CAD software. I don't use CAD software. I use really simple paint type software like Keynote, which is more like a PowerPoint software. I am very low end on my artistic design techniques. After the US, which country will get boring company target first? China? I think China gets boring company tunnels first, but maybe Canada. Canada could happen before because it's closer. Is there another question here? Oh, Ross. I answered Ross. I think China is a really, really strong candidate for boring company tunnels. Really, really strong candidate. I think China is very, very, really is going to appreciate the potential of the boring company tunnels and can move bureaucratic hurdles out of the way quicker than anyone else. Space hotels definitely make sense. What's it called? There's a company that has these inflatable modules that you can deploy, and I think that would make sense. But I think, Starship itself could be a space hotel. You just launch a Starship in low Earth orbit, and it's got enough room to house people. Thoughts on universal basic income? I have a video on universal basic income. You won't like my answers. Bigelow Aerospace. Well, so I think Tesla could do something, or SpaceX could do something with Bigelow Aerospace or buy their intellectual property. Will you get the yoke or normal steering wheel in Cybertruck? I will probably get the normal steering wheel in Cybertruck. I don't know what the advantages of yoke. I'll think about it. What's proprietary to boring tunnel with Teslas versus a rail car as a means of public transit? I don't really understand that question. The boring tunnels are cheaper, are better than boring tunnels are better than surface transportation because they don't conflict with things on the surface and because you can build multiple levels of tunnels. And the cost of building things on the surface in places where they're crowded, the land is very expensive, so it becomes very expensive to do. What's the better company with manufacturing with semiconductor chips? Samsung or Taiwan? I think you mean TSMC. I don't really know the answer to that question. I think they're both very good, and they probably have strengths and weaknesses that I don't know enough about to answer. Will Sweden ever get a terafactory? I don't think so. Maybe because they have certain really low-cost energy in some places, it would make sense, but I don't think it's going to make sense to produce vehicles in Sweden, so it wouldn't make sense to produce batteries there. Do I think gigapress costs may cause... Oh, that's a good question, Graham. Do you think gigapress costs may cause EBITDA margins to drop in Q3 and Q4 when Berlin is online? That's a very, very thoughtful question, Graham. So Gigapress is probably very expensive. So depreciating Gigapress could be a big chunk of expense, but I don't think it's that big a cost compared to the whole factory. I mean, that factory is like $1 billion or $2 billion factory, so I don't think the Gigapress cost is that much. And I think you amortize it over a very long period. I think Gigapress is probably good for 10 years or more. What do I think of the idea of FSD semi-trailers? The semi lets it loose on the freeway, the trail. No, I don't think that makes sense. No. No. The semi pulls the trailer. The trailer doesn't. You don't want extra hardware in the trailer that weighs it down because the trailers have a weight limit. What do I think of Microsoft Excel? Do you think Elon will develop a replacement that will work on Mars? I think Microsoft Excel is just fine. I don't use it myself, but it's just fine. And I don't think Elon will bother replacing Microsoft Excel. Boring tunnel to help people cross the border illegally. I like it. Will any other country or company have a launch vehicle to compete with Starship within the next decade? No, not within the next decade. I don't see anybody doing anything close. Really simply put it this way, no one has come close to the Falcon 9 yet. No one has caught anything close to the Falcon 9 yet, and the Falcon 9 started landing in 2015, but actually launched before that. Maybe 2014 was the first successful Falcon 9 launch. I forget when. So, Damien, Warren, do you think a space station for SpaceX could be very modular and gigantic for a SpaceX hotel and major money driver for SpaceX? I don't think it would be a major money driver. No. I don't. I think it would be a fun thing to do and it would generate a little bit of revenue, but I don't see that being a gigantic. I don't think that many people are willing to pay that much money to go into space. Maybe I'm wrong. I think if they can get the cost of getting people to low Earth orbit, that's a good question. Let's see. So it's $1 million for a launch into orbit. $2 million. You carry a couple hundred people, let's say $10,000 a person. I don't know how much demand there is for that. That's a tough one. Can two monkeys play mind pong against one another? Probably yes. They'll probably do that soon. Do you think they paid cash for the gigapresses? Probably. I'm not sure though. Which company should Tesla buy? None. I don't think Tesla needs to buy any companies. I mean, maybe there's some supplier out there that makes sense for them to buy, but generally I don't think they need to buy companies. Do you think there will be boring tunnels in cities like New York and London, for example, where there are large subway tunnels already? Yes. I think that, I don't know London well enough. I know New York pretty well. New York's tunnel system, subway system is limited in a lot of ways. And I think and just really simply, just think about it this way. A subway ride costs $2.75 each way. If the average ride in a New York subway is $2.75, that works out to about 60 cents a mile. I think boring company rides will cost less than 60 cents a mile. And, you know, like there's no tunnel. The subway doesn't reach JFK Airport or LaGuardia Airport. So boring tunnels could get to the airports. And it's shocking that they haven't extended the subway lines to JFK and LaGuardia yet. And I could see the boring company doing those tunnels much easier, much faster, much quicker if New York doesn't get in the way. What does your shirt say? Tesla is the next Tesla. Please click there's a link in I think you can see it below the video description. There's a link to the t-shirts in the video description. Will GigaPress be a production risk? No, they're already using GigaPress. GigaPress is already working well in Fremont with Model Y. We already know, and in Shanghai, GigaPress works. We know it works. $200,000 for a one-way ticket to Mars is the goal. No, that's a round-trip ticket, Trent. $200,000 is a round-trip ticket to Mars. Will Tesla develop its own operating system and get in the tablet and phone business? No, I don't think they will bother doing that. Does space station make sense for staging trips to Mars? No, you don't need space station to stage trips to Mars. I don't think that adds anything. No. New York City subways really suck. Yeah, they're okay. It's boring company tunnels are a much more pleasant experience, absolutely. Will tunnels container carriers be AC or DC electric powered? overhead wires. I think they'll actually be under. I think the wires will be on the floor of the tunnel, and I think they will be DC, but I'm not sure of that. I don't think it would make sense for them to be AC. I think the point is that the one-way and round trip to Mars is the same price because the ships will mostly be coming back empty at some point. So there'll be room for people in them. Yeah, Dojo as a service will be another big cash cow thing. What do we got here? Oh, more support. Thank you, Paulus. Again, thank you. Giga Norway with hydropower. I don't know if that makes sense. It might make sense to do Giga Norway. I don't want to say no, but I've heard there's conflict in Silicon Valley with tech companies. This is the reason why some are moving out of California. I heard this from Alucard from Palantir. Your thoughts? I think that California has become a very unpleasant place to do business, and companies are leaving because California has basically become a communist country, and communists don't like capitalists, and capitalists run companies. How dangerous is Elon's SpaceX for international competition with Russia and China? I don't know what you mean by dangerous. I think SpaceX will provide launch services to China and Russia if they want. Would be very interesting experiments to change a subway. No, you wouldn't change an existing subway line. You would actually do Boring Company tunnels from point to point that aren't served by subways well. Ross, thank you for your support. Boring FSD tunnel, LA to East Coast. Large enough containers, trucking, 90 mile an hour tailwind, powered by renewable energy, powered blowers. Semi-range equals 1,200 miles. Beach all surface freeway trucking and trains make sense. So yes and no. I mean, I think it makes sense to do tunnels around the United States. I think I'm not sure whether the wind power thing is necessary or if the cars will generate their own wind anyway. I don't think there are that many semi trips that are 1,200 miles long. I think that and semi won't fit in the tunnel. So you're going to have to do something else. I think that there are going to be sleds that the containers ride on. I think there's going to be a different system for making those container shipping work in tunnels. Will Starlink have cell phone service? There's a theory that Starlink will have. They will set up every supercharger station will have a Starlink device, a receiver, antenna that will communicate with Starlink, and then we'll have a 5G antenna. And Tesla or SpaceX could buy a third tier, like the third biggest cell phone company in whatever country, and then add its own towers from the supercharger stations and provide a much better network and become the #1 cell phone company. So that's an interesting theory. When do I think Tesla insurance will arrive to Florida? I don't know that I think Tesla insurance will come soon. I don't really worry about that. Carlisle says, I want to leave California, move to Florida. It's too expensive. Florida real estate's getting more expensive, but still nowhere near California. California coastline is more pleasant, more attractive than the Florida coastline, but Florida's still pretty good. California has better Asian food. Florida has better Cuban food. Florida is Florida has much more libertarian if you like liberty. What's your opinion in regards to Tesla buying a tire company? I don't see the need to do that. Which year did you buy your first shares in Tesla? I bought my first shares in Tesla in February 2016. What is your biggest concern, risk for Tesla? My biggest risk for Tesla is government. Number 2 is Elon leaving. I'm in Austin. When are we going to get a Boring tunnel? The traffic here sucks too. I think that Boring in Austin is happening soon. I think we're going to see some really serious stuff with Boring Company in Austin in 2022. I don't think they'll be up and running in 2022, but we're going to hear what's happening in Austin in 2022. I'm pretty confident of that. Starlink in the tunnel? No. Do you remember former Governor Rick Perry trying to build a superhighway for trucks as part of NAFTA? Do you think this will occur with Boring for trucks? It's possible. It would make sense to do Boring tunnels. Maybe. I don't know. Could Boring tunnels disrupt overnight airplane delivery service? Yes, absolutely. Will Starlink work on a moving vehicle like a cyber RV? It could. It's worked. They tested it on an airplane. So yes. First woman on the moon 2024 via SpaceX. This is underrated. Okay. I don't think that's important, but okay. In your opinion, is Kathy Wood's bullish price target of $4,000 by 2025 conservative? Yes, that's conservative. My price target for, if we're going to call it a price target, I think Tesla hits $20,000 a share in 2026, 10 or 15,000 in 2025. There's no hurricanes in California, but there's no earthquakes in Florida. Should monkeys drive a Tesla robotaxi before FSD? I love it. Let's see a monkey with Neuralink driving robotaxi. That would be awesome. When will Elon and all of his businesses leave communist California for good? I don't think they'll leave California for good for a long time. I think Fremont, they have too much invested in California to leave completely, but I think the headquarters will move. Was part of NASA's reason for choosing Starship, was it be politically embarrassing if SpaceX beat them to Moon Mars without NASA involvement? Maybe. I don't think so. Have you talked about Tesla and Zeta to build a car factory in Narva, Estonia? I don't think that's going to happen. Should Tesla buy the company that builds a gigapress? I don't think they need to buy the company. I don't know. It's an interesting idea. I don't think they need to buy it. Do I think Elon should start a freight-only boring company, no people to worry about, can go fast and be easier to manage traffic? I think there's a lot of potential for Tesla to get into some kind of logistics business. That may be something Jerome Guillen's going to do with Semi. It could all come together, yeah. Don't Florida beaches have warmer water than California? Yes. Oh, no, we have warmer water. California beaches have more wildlife. You have more hills and other features to see. I think you have better waves in California. You have islands off the coast that are often visible. You don't see a lot of wildlife in the Florida beach. When I go to Florida beaches, you often see wildlife. There's a lot of great stuff in California. Like I used to live near the Moss Beach Marine Reserve. Los Angeles is different, but most of California coastline is really gorgeous with trees and hills and cliffs. And are you worried Starlink will merge with Neuralink and launch Skynet? I'm not worried about it, but I think it could happen. Did you secure your share value via put options in case a stock crash comes? No, I don't play option games. Can you please run for governor of California? No way in hell. No, I'm not even running for governor of Florida. I joke that I'm the libertarian candidate for president in 2024, but I have to get divorced first, and I don't want to get divorced, so it's not going to happen. If car sales dictate share price, why is Toyota $157? Car sales don't dictate share price. Revenue, profits, growth, there's a lot of factors that dictate share price. Can the monkeys with Neuralink drive the boring machines? I like it. Monkeys running the boring machines. I like it. Neuralink monkeys digging tunnels. Yes. Yes. Hurricane versus earthquake wildfire risk is Florida versus California. We also have Florida Man. Florida Man is a significant risk in Florida. California does not have anything like Florida Man. You've got some crazy people in California, but we out crazy California. Shiba Inu dog driving the robo-taxis? Yeah, the Doge taxi. Pay when Dogecoin, have a Doge drive your car. Florida has lots of lizards. Oh, you wouldn't believe the number of lizards. We get geckos in our house. We get iguana. My daughter was at school, and there was an iguana that brushed her leg as it ran underneath the table. They eat outside, and an iguana brushed her leg running by like an iguana. The geckos are like this. The iguanas are like this. Could Tesla use boring tunnels inside Giga Texas for efficiency? Could Tesla use boring tunnels inside Giga Texas for efficiency? I don't think they would need the tunnels inside Giga Texas. They might need the tunnels from Giga Texas to other locations, but not. I don't think there's any advantage to having the tunnels inside. Maybe. I'll say maybe. Maybe there's some value to that, but I haven't heard any idea that would be useful. What's your raw idea of NIO's success in China, as Tesla cannot take the whole market? I think NIO is doing reasonably well in China. I think their battery swap idea is stupid, but they'll get past it. They made their 100,000th car. They're doing okay. If I get pulled over and they ask, do you know why I pulled you over? What do I say? Asking for a friend. You don't know why they pulled you over. My answer is don't talk. Hold up a sign that says, I remain silent, no searches, I want my lawyer. But the truth is you don't know why they pulled you over. Even if you think you know why they pulled you over, you don't know why they pulled you over. Think about that. Will you have a shirt for sale of a monkey driving a Tesla, please? It's an interesting idea. I don't think I have the artwork. I don't think I have the artistic capability for that, and I'm not sure that would sell. Do you think Boring Company will try and keep the tunnels privately owned by them instead of being owned by the city? I see two models for Boring Company. One is a city or government pays Boring Company to build a tunnel system and operate the tunnel system for them. That is the Las Vegas model. I think once Boring Company starts getting bigger, I think they go to cities and say, hey, we have a proposal. We'll build a tunnel system for you at no cost. We will charge a toll or earn money, whatever way we earn money, and we will pay you 10% of the revenue once the tunnel's up and running. So it's like a no-brainer for city government. We don't have to pay anything. We solve our traffic problem and we get money. And, you know, it's up and running in a year. So I think that's a good business model that would make sense. And I think some cities will go for that. And it's a much higher value for Boring Company in the long run. Has any iguana come out of the toilet, Warren? Do you game the iguanas on weekends? So no, iguanas do not come out of the toilet. That's not possible. They're too big to fit in the toilet. And I believe there are people who hunt iguanas. And apparently they taste just like chicken. Iguanas are not a fashion accessory, no. Iguanas are a pest. Could Tesla give a discount if you buy Starlink and Tesla insurance? Probably not. They don't need to. How much does your YouTube channel generate? Is it reasonable? YouTube has become my primary source of income. I make good money. There are people. Stephen Mark Rand makes like 5 times as much money as I make. I make enough. I don't know. I don't really like. I'm not sure that it's within the YouTube terms that I'm supposed to disclose how much I make. I do okay. I'm pretty happy with it. The big thing is it's growing. It has. February was a very good month. March was down. April's probably going to be down. But if I can just keep growing gradually, then it'll be better. How will vehicles charge in tunnels? I don't think vehicles will charge in tunnels. They will charge before they get in, before they get out. If you have a long distance tunnel, then there will be electrical wiring. Then they will charge as they go over the wires. Or they will be powered by the wires. So Jim, I agree that the tunnels might be owned. I don't know how that's going to work. Have you thought about asking one of your fans to create artwork for a new T-shirt? So I've had graphic designers offer to design shirts for me. I put 2 of them up on the store, and no one bought it. So I haven't had good artwork submitted yet. What do I think of Latina girls in bikinis? I like girls in bikinis, period. All girls. I'm not racist. I'm not ethnically oriented. I like girls in bikinis, period. Paulus, thank you again for your support. California is not communist. California is right-wing by Norwegian standards. I don't think so. I think Norway is actually pretty capitalist. I think you'd be surprised. I have an idea I call Elon 2.0, be a collection of smart people who work as a collective to perform and think like Elon to tackle other ideas and issues in the world. You can help start this. I talk about being like Elon a lot, but I don't think it's a collective. Elon doesn't work like a collective. Eating iguanas is wrong, Warren. Unless you have ranch dressing, then maybe. Yes. I have not eaten iguana meat. I've just heard that people do it. And I think you can cook iguana meat and it's okay. Stephen Mark Ryan is a pothead millennial. That's why he makes so much money. Stephen Mark Ryan is entertaining. That's why he makes so much money. When are you going to have an interview with Elon on your channel? When Elon says he's willing. I'd love to have Elon on the channel. Please call him up and tell him I want to interview him and tell him he should come. Is the Cybertruck pre-order only based on the date when you ordered it? I don't think we know the answer to that yet. The only wildlife I need to see on the beach is wearing a bikini. Well, that's an interesting type of wildlife. I think they raised the price because they know what subsidies are coming and your roof price will end up being roughly the same. I'm not sure. Well, I don't know whether they did anything with the pricing that way. I think my price is going up because my roof is bigger than we thought. We'll see. I don't have an answer on that yet. Think tank via Twitter and YouTube. I don't know. All right, we're past 2.5 hours. We're talking bikinis and food. I think we're well past our limit here. Trikinis? Trimotor? All right. What do I think of girls in bikinis wearing army boots? Okay, we've definitely descended past the good part of this video. I think we've hit our limit on great question and answer session, and we've gone downhill. So I want to thank everyone for watching. I really enjoyed today. Thank you, David. So I'm going to end it now. Please check out my other videos, t-shirts, support the channel on Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.